Sorry, boy, but his captain's got to teach his men what happens to those what crossing.
Captain's got to teach stuff.
Good morning from the Batcave. It is Thursday, April 11th, 2024, and we're going to keep going on this whole numbers thing. I hope you guys got this eclipse out of your system. Don't ask me any questions about the eclipse. The eclipse was nothing. It meant nothing. It was going to come. It was going to go. It means nothing. I don't care about anything that appears in the sky unless it's Jesus with a bunch of bolts of lightning around him, okay? There's stuff in the sky. If the sun turns to darkness, the moon turns to blood, and the whole earth shaking, then ask me what's going on. But other than that, don't talk about eclipses. So annoying to see people like gushing and crying over an eclipse. Oh my gushness. Anyways, we're going to continue on in numbers here. I don't know why my brain is super tired today, but it is. So I might sound stupid. Bear with me. Just so you guys know, if you're new to this channel, I try to break up what I'm doing. I try to at least half of what I'm doing just be straight Bible teaching. I don't want all my stuff to be debunking. I don't want it to be Illuminati confirmed. I don't want it to be clickbaity. I am primarily a Bible teaching channel. But I'm going to comment on different stuff as it comes across my lap, if it's related to the content, if it's related to what's going on in the world, if it's related to what I'm studying for a book I'm writing. But primarily, I'm a straight-up Bible teacher, and you should be a straight-up Bible reader. Okay, you should be a Bible student. You read the Bible to discern the world. You don't read the headlines to discern the Bible. You don't listen to YouTube to discern the Bible. And if I'm not getting you to independently read the Bible and start to rely on it yourself, I'm failing as a teacher. I just got done listening to a teaching by Joel Richardson on the Islamic Antichrist. And literally everything he's getting is out of Islamic eschatology. He's not studying the Bible. He's studying Islamic eschatology, and then he's lining that up with certain theories from the Bible. But he's not lining it up with Scripture because there's nothing relevant in Islamic eschatology to help you discern the Scriptures, and he doesn't know the Scriptures. He thinks the Antichrist is going to be an Islamic invader of Israel in the last days, okay? He's absurd. He doesn't know the Scriptures at all, and this is why you guys need to know the Scriptures themselves. Other than that, if you guys are newer here, like I said, that's my primary basis. I have published a couple books. One of them I pulled back because I need to do more work on it, and then I'm working on a third book that should be done in April. That's called Rightly Dividing. But if you look in my About section, you're going to see my first book, which is The Revelation, Every Eye Will See Him. It's a complete breakdown of the book of Revelation with all the Old Testament prophecies that are supposed to go into the eschaton. So if you know nothing about eschatology, it's going to teach you how to study it. It's going to teach you basically how to understand Matthew 24 from the perspective of everything that's said in Luke and everything that's said in Mark, and you're supposed to put them all together to understand it. And then it's going to take you through Paul's teachings on eschatology, and then it's going to take you through the entire book of Revelation, okay? It's going to weave in all the prophecies that are alluded to in the book of Revelation and all the stuff that might just talk about like one verse of a prophecy, and it goes and takes all that prophecy and it kind of just intersects it all together to put everything in a chronological order for you. So, guys, get that book. If you haven't get that book, I don't know how many times to repeat it. Get the book, okay? A lot of people come on here and want me to rewrite the book in the comment section because they don't want to look at my playlist or read my book, okay? If you're too lazy to get the book and read, it's like 320 pages, I think, maybe 315, something like that. Then look at my playlist on eschatology, okay? There's just tons of stuff on eschatology and the Mid-Trib rapture that you can listen. You could just like fill yourself up. Otherwise, there's a Zoom Bible study that I did with a bunch of guys that literally goes from basically Jesus' teachings on eschatology right through the book of Revelation up to the point of the rapture, okay? I realize it takes time to listen, but it takes a lot more time to study. And the stuff that I'm giving to you is very much consolidated. So try not to be so lazy and just get people to answer your question about when the rapture is going to be. Don't ask me about dates. If you're giving me a theory about dates, I'm going to tell you it's automatically wrong. It's automatically wrong. There is no theory about dates, okay? I have a theory about an earliest possible date something could happen, but I have no theories about what date a thing is going to happen, okay? So just stop. You use common sense. When Jesus says you don't know the day or the hour, it's going to come in an hour you do not expect. You can't predict the date years in advance. Like, just use some common sense, okay? Anyways, we're going to go back into Numbers. I know I took you guys up to Numbers 20 last time. What you want to do is, first of all, I made a mistake last time. I think I made it sound like Aaron and Miriam died towards the beginning of the 40 years in the wilderness. It's actually towards the end. We're going to read later on that it says that Aaron was 123 years old when he died, and Moses is 120 when he dies. And Aaron's a few years older than Moses, so they're both towards the end. It seems to be like their last lap around the wilderness right before they go into the Amorites. So that's that. And then I'm going to take you through 20. So where we are right now is basically there was a showdown for who gets to be the priesthood and who gets to lead the tribes, and Korah, who was of the house of Kohath, which would have been the older brother to the clan of Levites that Aaron came from. He's gonna get together with Dathan and Abiram, who are from the clan of Reuben, which is the eldest tribe of Israel, and they're gonna try to take over. And God swallows them all alive. And then he has 250 chiefs of the Israelites who were with them come take censers and try to offer them up, or they might have been Kohathites, maybe. And he's going to burn them all alive. Okay, so they get swallowed alive, burned alive, and then he makes Aaron and his sons do this whole temple cleansing thing with a red heifer. Okay, and then he's going to basically around this time they're going to start immediately complaining after that about water, and they're going to say, why couldn't we just die with Korah? And God's willing to accommodate, but he gives them water instead because he's nicer than they are. And Moses smacks the rock a couple times, and he's going to get kicked out of the promised land for that. So that's chapter 20. And then Aaron's going to die, and they're going to bury him in Mount Hor. And Mount Hor is a place in Jordan. Okay. And if you go to Jordan, you can actually go to where Aaron's tomb is. It's actually like a tourist site there. I've never been there, but it's in Mount Hor. And you can see it marked out. Apparently, that's where they buried Aaron. Okay? They even got a little dome there. Muslims still revere Aaron and Moses and these guys. Okay? You got to remember, before Muhammad came along, there was a guy named, I think he was called like Moinides or something like this, and or Monimus or something like that, and he basically combined the Pentateuch with Pythagoras to come up with Islamic monotheism, where God's just a singular being. There's no Father, Spirit, and Son. There's just God. Okay, and that had been around for about 200, 300 years before Muhammad came around. So that's these guys are going to revere Moses and think there's just God. There's just the God that was on Mount Sinai. That's it. That's the only God. There's no Father, Son, and Spirit. Okay. Anyways, we're going on chapter 21. We've got 15 chapters left. We're going to try to peel through all this. I don't know if we're going to get there, but we'll see. First things first, we're going to go do some killing, okay? And basically, they're going to do some killing. They're going to kill some Amorites. They're going to make their way around, basically, the Edomites and the Moabites, because they're all being jerks. And then the Amorites are going to come up to fight them, and they're going to kill the Amorites. And that is going to basically open the entryway for them to go into Canaan, okay? So just so you know, as they're wandering around in the wilderness, this is what's going on historically. Remember, Moses is going to leave Egypt. I think it's around 1445 BC. So we're looking right around 1400 BC, about the time that they finished their wilderness wanderings, and they're going to get close to entering into the Promised Land. And back then, basically, you want to remember the Amorites from Genesis, who helped Abraham defeat basically Nimrod and his armies. Okay, and remember, Nimrod would have been probably Sargon of Akkad. Amraphel, some people are going to say, is Hammurabi, but that's not true, because Hammurabi would have been an Amorite, and the Amorites were Abraham's allies at that time, living over here. They're a Canaanite tribe, and then they're going to grow, and they're going to conquer this whole region. Okay, And the Hittites are going to be pretty strong over here. The Egyptians are going to be pretty strong over here. Egyptians are going to rule Canaan pretty much until I think they get defeated at the Hittites in a battle while the Jews are in the Promised Land. And so they're not going to be quite as strong here. And the Canaanites are going to be more independent. The Hittite Empire is going to grow stronger. And then the Amorite kingdom is going to break up. You're going to have this middle area, which is kind of think Syria. And that's going to be these people called the Mitanni. And the Mitanni seem to be an alliance or a mingling of people that are Armenian and then people who are Amorite. And they seem to be allying here because they got the Hittites on this side and then the Assyrians growing around Ashur and Nineveh over here and in the fall of Nebuchadnezzar. So this kingdom seems to be an alliance of people here in the north and people here in the south in order to kind of be a strong kingdom against these two guys who are warring against them. So this is just balanced power politics. And then the Amorite kingdom, you're going to have kind of a separate kingdom over here in Babylon. But remember, these are the cousins of the Amorites over here, okay? When you get to the point where, they're going to go in there, there's going to be two major kings, okay? There's Og, king of Bashan. So think the Golan Heights region. That's Bashan. You're going to hear these kind of prophecies and poetic language about the bulls of Bashan and all this stuff. I don't know what it is about Bashan, but I think that's where Mount Hermon is, and I think that's where New Nephilim came around. And so Og, king of Bashan, is a Nephilim. He's a giant. He has like a 30-foot long bed. We're going to read about that, and then we're going to you're going to have the Amorites up here in Bashan, and then you're going to have the Amorites down through here, okay? And you're going to have the Ammonites kind of pushed over here. They're going to fill in this gap here a bit. And then the Moabites, okay? But the Amorites pretty much displaced them, okay? So the Ammonites and the Moabites are going to be the descendant of Lot's two incestuous sons. And then the Amorites are going to be Abraham's allies of the Canaanite tribes, okay? And so they're going to have this land on the other side of the Jordan River. And Moses and his people are going to come kill them completely, take their land that they had taken from the Moabites, and then they're going to give it to Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh, and they're going to stay on this side of the river. So that's kind of what's going on here. But let's just get to reading, okay? So it says, when King Arad the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard that Israel came by the way of the spies, he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord, saying, if you will indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites, and utterly destroyed them from their cities. And he was called by that place Hormah. So, again, your predestination, predeterminism, people, you need to listen to when it says, Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel. Okay? Prayer matters. If you have a determinate worldview, then prayer doesn't matter. Okay? He listened. He gave them their request. Okay? Well, he knows everything that's going to happen in advance. No. Yes, the Father knows everything that's going to happen in advance, and yet he is responding in real time. If you don't know how to balance those two things and try to make one predominate the other, one is going to make all God's words in the Bible not mean what they say. The other one is going to make you believe that God's not really in control and he's just reacting to stuff, okay? You got to remember, there's multiple persons of the Godhead, okay? There's the Spirit. Now they're all spiritually connected to, the Father, and the Father's in eternity and he's not dealing with stuff in real time. But the Son and the Spirit are. Okay? The Son and the Spirit are dealing with stuff in real time. When you see the Lord, that's a pre-incarnate Jesus that they're dealing with, who's dealing with stuff in real time. And they're asking him stuff and he's like, I'll allow it. Okay? So he hearkened to the voice of Israel and delivered up the Canaanites and utterly destroyed them in their cities, and the name was called Hormah. And they journeyed from Mount Hor on the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom, and the soul of his people were much discouraged on the way. Remember, Aaron just died here. They've now just had some people kidnapped. They're in the region where Aaron was buried. And the people spake against God and against Moses, wherefore have you brought us up to Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. He just gave them supernatural water not that long ago. They've had manna, but now they don't like the manna. They call it light bread. There's no bread. You've got manna. This is light bread, though. We want hearty 9-grain bread. This is just sufficient bread. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people much, and much of Israel died. Remember, people are dying left and right, okay? You have all the people who died in Korah's rebellion. You have people that are dying from a plague. You have people that are getting swallowed in the earth. You have the people that die when basically they get their butts kicked when they try to take Canaan by themselves. 600,000 people have to die here, okay? And they only document about 100,000 people dying, but a lot of them are going to die of old age because it's been 40 years, okay? So you want to think those people who went into the wilderness, who tried to go up and fight, those people would have been probably between 20 and 90 years old. Now they would be between 60 and dead, okay? And then a lot of them are going to die because they were the chiefs of the tribe that rebelled, and they're just going to be toast, okay? So then it says, therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord, and against thee pray to the Lord, they will take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said to Moses, make thee a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and it shall come to pass, everyone that is bitten shall look upon it, shall live. So this word fiery is brazen. It's a brazen serpent. It's basically a burnished bronze kind of serpent. But I don't know, the word they use can mean fiery, okay? And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it on a pole, and it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. Why a serpent? Why not a picture of Jesus? I don't know. Because serpent represents sin, and sin is going to be crucified, I guess. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in Oboth, and they journeyed in Oboth and pitched at Ajeabarim in the wilderness before Moab towards the sun rising. So in other words, they're east of Moab, okay? So here's Moab down here. Sorry, I don't have a color coordinated map. Here we go. So here's Edom. Remember, Edom wouldn't let them go through, so they had to go around Edom. And I think over here is going to be where Aaron is buried. Now they got to go around Moab because Moab's not letting them pass through. And God won't let them kill the Moabites because they're cousins, okay? So from thence they removed and pitched in the valley of Zered, and thence they removed and pitched in the valley of the other side of Arnon, which is in the wilderness that comes out of the coast of the Amorites. For Arnon is a border of Moab between Moab and the Amorites. Wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, what he did in the Red Sea and in the brooks of Arnon. Okay? And at the stream of the brooks that goes forth of the dwelling of Ar that lieth in the border of Moab. Okay? There is a book that used to exist called the Books of the Wars of the Lord. And I have a feeling this was not Moses' book. Maybe it was an Egyptian book. Maybe it was a Middle Eastern book that some other tribe kept. But when you see them referring to, oh yeah, these, you're going to see this in like Numbers and Deuteronomy, how like these Nephilim were killed by the Edomites. And these Nephilim were killed by the Moabites. Okay? That's what I believe the book of the wars of the Lord is about. Okay, what I think it is about God ridding the land of the Amorites in the Middle East, or of the Nephilim in the Middle East. That's just my theory. Nobody has the book of the wars of the Lord, so we don't know. Okay, but they seem to keep drawing from a record that indicates other wars that are going on. That's going to include some wars that the Israelites have and other wars that don't involve the Israelites. And the answer you want to ask yourself, well, how would they know this? You know, what is God giving this to Moses? And the answer is no. There's this book of the wars of the Lord. So there's apparently things that God is having people do in terms of fighting on his behest. Okay, and that's probably part of the reason why God's not going to let them kill the Amorites and the Moabites, or the Moabites and the Edomites, because he used them to kill Nephilim. So it seems like there's a certain level of relationship with God through certain people. Remember, Job would have been married in among the Edomites, so don't think like just because they're not Israelites, God has nothing to do with them, okay? He does. There's other prophets in other places, okay? Balaam is a legitimate prophet. He just is a wicked prophet, and he pays the penalty, and we're going to watch him get killed here in a minute. He says, at the stream of the brooks that goeth down to the village of the dwelling of Ar that lieth on the border of Moab, and from thence they went to Beer, and that is a well whereof everybody was very glad. Whereof the Lord spake to Moses, gather the people there, and I will give them water. It's just water, it's not beer, I'm sorry. Disappointed. Oh. And then Moses sang the song, spring up a well, sing ye unto it. And the princes dig the well, and nobles of the people digged it, and they're in the direction of the lawgiver and their staves. And from the wilderness they went to Mattanah. and at Mount Nahanil, and from Nahanil from Bamoth, and from Bamoth into the valley that is the country of Moab, to the top of Pisgah, which looketh towards Jehinnom. And if you don't know where those are, you're just not happening. Okay, it's around the Moabite region. It's just, everybody knows where Pisgah is. And then Israel sent messengers to Sihon, the king of the Amorites. Okay, now you're going to have your southern Amorites. This is where Sihon is, and then Og, king of Bashan, is going to be your northern Amorites. Okay, the southern Amorites are not necessarily giants, but Og, king of Bashan, is a giant. Okay, so these ones get into Nephilim again somehow. He says, "Let me pass through thy land. I will not turn into your fields or into the vineyards, and we will not drink of the waters of the well, but we go along the way on the king's highway until we be past your borders." Okay, we're just going to walk the highway. We'll buy stuff, but we're not going to try to settle here and pillage your junk. And Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass through his border, but Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel in the wilderness, and he came to Jahaz and fought against Israel. And Israel smote him with the edge of the sword and possessed the land of Arnon that was unto Jabbok, even to the children of Ammon. And the border of the children of Ammon was strong. Okay? The children of Ammon right here, they basically went in there, took all that. And then apparently the border of the children of Ammon was strong, was fortified, and so they didn't mess around with the Ammonites. And Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in the cities of the Amorites and Heshbon and all the villages thereof. Okay, so they're going to be there for a minute. Okay, they're going to actually be inhabiting these cities. They're going to be building them up. And then the Reubenites are eventually going to stay there. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and taken all this land out of his hand, even to Arnon. So remember, the Ammonites and the Moabites are going to be brothers, so they're just going to be kind of upriver from each other, which is kind of the normal thing. And then the Amorites are going to extend from this side of the Jordan River, because that's where they were in Abraham's day. Abraham's going to eventually move to the south, and his allies are going to be dominant in the north, and then they're going to go take over Babylon. And so that's why they're all over here. They want to control a complete route over to Babylon. Okay, that's why they go to the other side. And they're going to basically push the Moabites and the Ammonites out of the way to have that route. Okay? And later on, the Moabites are going to try to fight to get it back, because they're going to say that used to be our land. And the Reubenites are going to be like, yeah, but you didn't try to get it back from the Amorites. And you didn't try to get it back from us when we got it back from the Amorites, so why are you trying to get it back like 200 years later or whatever? And they're going to be like, no, I will not allow it, and they're going to fight them and win. And wherefore they speak in Proverbs, saying, "Come to Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and prepared. For there's a fire gone out of Heshbon, and a flame from the city of Sihon, and it has consumed Ar of Moab and the lords of the high places of Arnon." So this is probably in the book of the Wars of the Lord too. That's why they say, wherefore they speak in Proverbs. Okay, so these are probably, when the Amorites took this land, this is probably documented. So maybe that book of the Wars of the Lord would be the Amorites' book. Maybe they recorded the victory against Nimrod and those guys with Abraham, and they're like, oh, the Lord fought for us because we crushed these guys with just like a few thousand guys, and we need to start keeping track of this stuff. Maybe once upon a time they were decent. Okay, because it is the Amorites that God says the sin of the Amorites is not yet full, and that's why he wouldn't let them basically be taken over in Abraham's time. Okay, so maybe he's acknowledging that there's still some goodness among the Amorites, but by this time they're not good. Okay, and then he says, "Woe to thee, Moab, you art undone. The people of Chemosh, he has given his sons that escaped and his daughters into the captivity of Sihon, king of the Amorites." So the Moabites got their butts kicked by the Amorites, okay? "And we have shot at them. Heshbon is perished, even unto Dibon, and we have laid them waste to Nophah, which reached unto Medeba. Thus Israel dwelt in the land of the Amorites. And Moses sent out to spy to Jazer, and they took the villages thereof and drove out the Amorites that were there." I think that's a little bit more north. "And then they turned up by the way of Bashan to Og, king of Bashan, and went out against them, and he and all his people at the battle of Edrei." So they were just like, let's just fight them all. Let's just kill all these Amorites over here. "And then the Lord said to Moses, Fear him not, for I have delivered in the hand of his people and his land, and thou shalt do to him as thou did to Sihon, the king of the Amorites, which dwell at Heshbon." So they knew they needed to go into Israel, and they're going to go from here. And now that they killed these Amorites, these other Amorites are going to get guffed, so they just got proactive and just killed them all. Okay? "So they smote him and his sons and all the people, and there were none left alive, and they possessed his land. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on the side of Jericho, of Jordan by Jericho." So Jericho is going to be right over here. I don't know if you guys can see this little hand here. and they're basically in this land. So this is where all these millions of Jews are encamped now. And these guys are pretty much mostly dead. They're going to get this land later, but right now they're getting ready to go in here. And Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that was done to the Amorites, and Moab was so afraid of the people because they were many, and Moab was distressed because of the children of Israel. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, now shall this company lick up all that is round about us, as an ox licks up the grass of the field. And Balak, the son of Zippor, was the king of Moabites at the time. So the Moabites down here are scared of the Israelites. They think they're just going to take everything over here. They don't realize they're heading in the promised land. They should have listened when Israel was like, we just want to pass through and head into our promised land. They should have been like, where exactly is this promised land? They would have found out it was all on this side of the river, and they didn't want the Moabite stuff. But the Moabites were stupid. They weren't paying attention. So what are they going to do? He sent messengers before them to Balaam, the son of Beor, to Pethor, which is by the land of the river, the land of the children of Israel, to call him, saying, behold, there's a people come out of Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. Come now, therefore, I pray thee, and curse this people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail, that we may smite them, that we may drive them out of the land. For I wot that whom thou blessest, bless, and whom thou cursest, curse. Now, they might know that they defeated the Amorites, and that was originally their land, and maybe they are just going to get it back. But they are saying they're worried that the Israelites are just going to take over all their land, because remember, the Ammonites are here, they're right here, and they've just taken over all this. So it looks like they're after everything on that side of the Jordan, okay? Says the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the rewards of divination in their hand, and they came unto Balaam and spake the words to Balak. And he said unto them, lodge here this night, and I'll bring word again, as the Lord shall speak to me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. So Balaam is originally an Aram from, I think he's from Mesopotamia, and he lives among the Arameans. So he's up here, okay? And they're going to bring him down here to curse the Israelites, okay? You want to watch this thing. Now, he says, now God came unto Balaam and said, what are these men? What men are these with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent me, saying, behold, here is a people that came out of Egypt, which covers the face of the earth. Now, curse me them peradventure. I shall not be able to overcome them and drive them out, okay? So notice this is the Lord, okay? This is God. I want you to see the language it uses. He uses Elohim. And let's see what he uses for the Lord. Yahovah, okay? So this is Jesus. This is the legit God talking to Balaam, okay? Balaam is a prophet, but he's a wicked man, okay? Just because you have a gift of prophecy doesn't mean you're an automatic good guy, okay? God gives gifts, and people can abuse those gifts. Remember, Judas was given authority to cast out demons and do miracles and stuff like that, okay? So Saul is going to get the gift of prophecy, okay? So don't think just because somebody has a gift of prophecy, that makes them an automatic good guy for life, okay? That's why some of the prophets in Israel are legit prophets, and then God kills them for doing the wrong thing, okay? So he's talking to the Lord, and the Lord is just like, he's going to come to Balaam and talk to him, and he's going to ask them what these men want, and he's going to say, they want me to curse Israel, should I? And God's going to say to him, thou shalt not go with them. Now listen to what he says. Thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they're blessed. End of story, okay? End of story. God says, I bless those people. You're not to go with these people who want them cursed. You're not to curse them, okay? Balaam's going to be like, maybe I can talk you into letting me curse them anyways, okay? And God's going to get upset. So God's going to do some stuff with Balaam, okay? And Balaam rose up in the morning and said unto the princes, Balak, get into your land, and the Lord refuses to give me leave to go with you, okay? Now, this is what I believe. Remember, in Midian where Moses was, I think they believed God dwelt in that mountain, and I think God did dwell in that mountain. He didn't just show up for the Israelites. I think it was an understood thing, like, yeah, there's something going on, like there's a God up there, right? And we don't mess with him. I think Balaam knows it. I think the Midianites knew it. I think this is the real God, and there are many people in the land that knew that there's a real God, and this is his land. This is his land. We don't know. We ain't messing with this dude, okay? You have legit prophets. You have Job, who's met him. Job is going to be down here, and he's going to meet God. Balaam's going to be somewhere over here, and he's going to meet God. And in this region, people are meeting God, the God of the Bible, okay? Now, obviously, it's an angel of the Lord, but still, he's not just showing up for the Jews, okay? And so Balaam rose in the morning and said to the princes of Balak, "Get you to your land, for the Lord refuses to give me leave to go with you." Now listen what he knows, what the truth is. He refuses to give me leave to go with you. And then the princes of Moab rose up, and they went to Balak, and Balaam refused to come with us. And Balak again sent princes more and honorable than these. So he got his rich crowd and his well-to-do friends, and he said, "But see if you guys can talk him into it." All the who's who, all the kids from the cool table came, and the kids from the cool table said, "But wouldn't you want to sit at the cool table with us cool kids?" And they came to Balaam and said to him, "Thus saith Balak the son of Zippor, let nothing, I pray thee, hinder thee from coming to me. And I will promote thee a great honor, and I will do whatever you say unto me. Therefore, I pray thee, curse this people." And Balaam answered and said to the servants, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord to do less or more. Now he already knows he's not supposed to go. Now therefore I pray for you, tarry ye here this night, that I may know what the Lord will say to me more. Like, let me ask him again, okay? If God gives you a clear answer, don't go back and ask for another one. You're just showing God that you don't want to obey him, okay? And God came to Balaam that night and said unto him, If the man come and call thee, rise up and go with them, but yet the word which I shall say to thee, thou shalt do. He's like, all right, he knows Balaam's heart is to do what they want instead of what God wants, and God is upset with this. But he's like, go ahead and go with them, but only say what I tell you, okay? And Balaam rose in the morning and saddled his ass and went to the princes of Moab, and the Lord's anger was kindled as he went. And the angel of the Lord stood in the way as an adversary against him. Now he was riding on his ass, and his two servants were with him, okay? Now, was God going to make an example of him? I don't know. I think God wanted to make the point that I am not happy that you are willing to go with these people when I already told you these people are blessed, and I don't want you cursing them, okay? And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his sword drawn in his hand, and the ass turned aside out of the way and went into the field, and Balaam smote the ass and turned her to the way. But the angel of the Lord stood in the path of the vineyards, and the wall being on the side, this side and that side. So they're walking between these vineyards. There's stone walls on either side of the vineyards. And it says, when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she thrust herself in the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall. So he's riding on her, and it's like trying to avoid the angel of the Lord, and so it's crushing his foot against the wall. And so he hit the ass again. Smacked that ass. That's what he did. And then the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place where there's neither way to turn left or right. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she fell down under Balaam, and Balaam's ass was kindled, and he smacked that ass again. And the Lord opened in the mouth of the ass and said to Balaam, What have you done here? Why have you smacked my ass these 3 times? And Balaam said to the ass, Because thou hast mocked me, and would there were a sword in my hand, I would kill thee. And he doesn't stop to realize I'm talking to a donkey. Donkey! And the ass said to Balaam, Am I not thine ass, and have I ever talked to you out loud before? Upon which you have ridden ever since I was thine unto this day, and was I ever want to do so? In other words, have I ever done anything like this to you before? What, you mean crushing my foot against the wall? Yeah, that and talking. Have I ever done this before? And he said, Nay. My donkey's talking to me. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with a sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed his head and fell on his face, okay? Oh, my donkey was trying to get me not killed. I was smacked my donkey wrong, threatening to kill it. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Wherefore hast thou smitten thine ass before thee 3 times? Now notice he has an ass talking to him, okay? An ass is like a mule. No, I'm sorry. An ass is just a donkey, okay? But the point is, donkeys are known to be kind of stubborn. And yet the donkey is submitting to the Lord, and he's not. Why? Because he's being stubborn. He wants to curse Israel to get that money and sit with the cool kids at the cool kids table, okay? He wants to date one of the mean girls, okay? And so he said, Behold, I went out to withstand thee, but because thy way is perverse before thee. See, this is what the angel of the Lord is saying. Your way is perverse. Your way is perverse. I know you're telling people I can only say what the Lord's telling me to say. I can only do what the Lord's telling me to do. But you want to do what they want. You're willing to curse Israel. They haven't done anything to you, and you're willing to curse them for munties. And God is not happy with this. And so the ass saw me and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely I would have slain thee and slain her alive. Okay? So he's like, your ass is smarter than you. That's what he's telling him. And Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. Now, therefore, if it displease thee, I will get back again. Okay? Now, don't think of this as repentance. Remember, Saul's going to do the same thing with David, but keep trying to kill him. Oh, I have sinned. I have sinned. I'm the bad guy. Just like the Jews. They keep saying, I have sinned, and then they're going to complain against Moses the next day. Okay? You can have people who acknowledge what's wrong when they want what's good for them, but then they're going to go back to their ways. Okay? And the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, Go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. And when Balak heard that Balaam was come, he went to meet him in the city of Moab, which is in the border of Arnon, which is in the utmost coast. So this river is the Arnon. It's going to flow into the Red Sea, and this river is Zered. And that's kind of the borders of the Moabites. They had this land up here, but the Amorites took it. Okay? And Balak said unto Balaam, Did I not earnestly send unto thee to call thee? Wherefore comest thou now unto me? And am I not able to promote thee unto honor? In other words, am I not able to make you a made man, to have all kinds of ladies, and to have all kinds of munties, and have a nice house, if you just do what I tell you? And Balaam said to Balak, Lo, I am come unto thee. Have I now any power at all to say anything? The word that God puts in my mouth, that I shall speak. He's like, I am a prophet, dude. I am not a sorcerer for hire. He says that, but watch him act like a sorcerer for hire. And Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kirath Azuzoth. Kirath Azuzoth. Everybody knows that place. It's over by the river. And Balak offered oxen and sheep, and sent to Balaam and to the princes that were with him. And it came to pass on the morrow that Balak took Balaam and brought him unto the high places of Baal, that thence he might see the utmost part of the people. Okay, so he's over here, and he sees the utmost part of the people. What does he mean? He just sees a piece of the camp. Okay, he just sees the people that are the furthest away. Okay. And Balaam says unto Balak, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 oxen and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam had spoken, and Balak and Balaam offered every bullock and ram. And Balaam said to Balak, Stand by your burnt offering, and I will go. Peradventure the Lord will come and meet me, and whatever he shows me, I will tell you. And he went to a high place. Now these people should be like, oh, really? You're actually going to get direct communication from the Lord for us? That's awesome. That's awesome. But no, that's not good enough for them. They want the Lord to do what they want to do. Okay? God's like, I am not your hireling. And God met Balaam, and he said to him, I have prepared 7 altars, and I've offered a bullock and a ram on each one. Super, Balaam. I'm super, super stoked that you did that. And the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth, and he said, Return to Balak, and thus thou shalt speak. And he returned to him, and lo, he stood by his burnt sacrifice, he and all the princes of Moab. And he took up his parable and said, Balak, the king of Moab, has brought me from Aram. So he's from way up here, out of the mountains of the east, saying, Come, curse me, Job. Come, defy Israel. How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? How shall I defy who God has not defied? For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. Lo, the people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among other nations. They're not one of you. They're special. Who can count the dust of Jacob and the number of the 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his. And Balak said unto Balaam, What hast thou done to me? I took thee to curse mine enemy, and behold, you have blessed them altogether. And he answered, said, Must I not take heed that which the Lord has put in my mouth? And Balak said to him, Come, I pray thee, with me to another place, whence thou might seeth them, and thou shalt see the utmost part of them, and see them all, and curse them before me. So he's like, you don't understand how big these people are. I'm going to go to the other side of them. Let me show you how big they are, how dangerous these guys are, okay? We need to get rid of them. And he brought him to the field of Zophim at the top of Pisgah. Remember Pisgah, that place that everyone knows? And he built 7 altars and offered a bullock and a ram on each altar. And he said to Balak, Stand here by the burnt offering while I meet the Lord yonder. And the Lord said to Balaam, and put a word in his mouth, met Balaam, put a word in his mouth, said, Go again to Balak and say this. And then he came to them, and he took the burnt offering and the pieces of Moab, the princes of Moab with him. And Balak said to him, What has the Lord spoken? And he took up his parable and said, Rise up, Balak, and hear. Hearken unto me, thou son of Zippor. So this is God. This is the word of the Lord speaking right to his face. God is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should repent. Biatch. You don't listen. You think you're going to pay him off and you're going to straighten him out? Hath he not said, and shall he not do it? Has he not spoken, and shall he not make it good? So people like to say, people like to quote this all the time, okay? Especially your Calvinists, because God doesn't change, right? Boy, he's not like a man that he should lie, or like a son of man that he should repent. Who did that come from? Moses? No, that came from Balaam. You guys need to understand this. Let's look at our cross references. He's going to say it through Samuel too, and Malachi. He's going to say something similar, but the OG saying, God is not like the son of man that he should repent, comes from Balaam. In other words, God said what he was going to do, and you think he's wrong. You think you need to change his mind. You think, oh, you don't understand, Lord. You haven't seen the bigger picture. Let me tell you why you should do what I want you to do. No. Behold, I have received commandment to bless, and he has blessed, and I cannot reverse it. He has blessed. The Lord has blessed, and I can't reverse it. You can't change God. What are you thinking? But I got lots of munchies. Yeah, God's not on the take, bro. And he had beheld iniquity in Jacob, neither has he seen perverseness in Israel. The Lord is God, his God is with him. And the shout of a king is among them. Listen to this. The Lord his God is with him, and the shout of a king is among them. God is their king. God brought them out of Egypt, and it said, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. Now, people want to freak out about unicorn being in the King James. This is a rhinoceros. He has one big horn, okay? That's why they say the strength of a unicorn, okay? That's a rhinoceros. It's a one-horned beast. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, and there's no divination against Israel. According to this time, it shall be said of Jacob and Israel, what has God wrought? Behold, the people shall rise up as a great lion, and lift himself up as a young lion, and he shall not lie down until he eats the prey and drink the blood of the slain. Ooh. And Balak said unto Balaam, neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. And Balaam answered, said to Balak, told not I thee, saying, all that the Lord speaketh I must do? Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? And Balak said to Balaam, come, I pray thee, and I will bring thee to another place, peradventure that it will please God that you may curse thee from there. You have not learned. You have not learned. You have not learned. You can't change God's mind. You want to try again? And Balak brought Balaam to the top of Peor that looks down from Jehishmon. And Balaam said unto Balak, build me here 7 altars, and prepare me 7 bullocks and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam said. And he offered him a bullock and every ram in his part. Hey, if you want to keep sacrificing lambs, I'm sure you're making God nice and happy with all the free food. But I got to change him. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord bless Israel, he went not ought as other times to seek for enchantments, but he set his face towards the wilderness. So apparently he's doing some divining arts and stuff like that to maybe getting himself high so he can get the word of the Lord a little bit more clearly. Okay? But this time he sets his face towards the wilderness. Where did he go? He is, at the top of Peor, okay? So he's on the top of a mountain now. And he's going to look to, He's just looking towards the wilderness from the top of a mountain, somewhere around yonder-ish parts, okay? And he lifted up his eyes and saw Israel abiding in his tents according to their tribes, and the Spirit of God came upon him. Now, what is he seeing? Remember, they're abiding according to their tribes. He's seeing this. He's seeing this, and this is him up here, and he's going, oh, snap. He's getting the picture. God's giving him the picture. And he looked, and he took up a parable, and Balaam the son of Beor has said, and man whose eyes are open has said, he has said, which are the word of the Lord, which is the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance and having his eyes open. God is giving me the vision. Okay, I'm Illuminati confirmed now. And goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacles of O Israel. Why? Because it's the cross. He sees, oh man, there's the 3-part Godhead, and there's the cross. There's something super spiritual going on here. I'm getting it now. And the valleys that are spread forth as gardens by the riverside, and the trees of line aloes which the Lord has planted as cedar trees besides the water. He shall pour forth water out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. What is he talking about? Well, first of all, he's talking about that's the church there. And then it says his king shall be higher than Agag, okay? Now, if you know who Joel Richardson is, Joel Richardson is going to take this prophecy, and he's going to go looking for confirmation bias because Joel Richardson believes that the Antichrist is a Muslim, okay? And he also tries to line up the Gog-Magog invasion with Armageddon, okay? He's the one leading the doing of this. And he is going to go find the Septuagint and the Syriac Peshitta and the Samaritan Pentateuch and say they all say Gog here, not Agag, okay? Well, that's because they're all based on the Septuagint. The Septuagint version of the Pentateuch. So you're going to have the Samaritans are going to originally have an old Hebrew version of the Pentateuch back from the days of Kings, and when the rest of the Jews are going to go into Babylon, they're going to switch their script to the Aramaic script, and they're going to come back with an Aramaic script version. And so what you have is a language that the Samaritans have that nobody uses anymore. Literally nobody uses, okay? So they start out with an Israelite priest with the Pentateuch, but that Israelite priest used to be a priest of the Baals and a priest of... No, I'm sorry, he wasn't the priest of the Baals because they all got killed. But he was the priest of that golden calf that Jeroboam had in Samaria, okay? And so he's not a very good priest. He's not a legitimate priest. He's basically a counterfeit priest. But he has the Pentateuch. He has the 5 books of Moses, and he's having the Samaritans keep that, okay? So what the Samaritans are going to do later on down the line is they're going to copy an Aramaic version of the Pentateuch from the Septuagint, okay? The Septuagint, because everybody around that time speaks Greek, okay? They're eventually all going to get overcome by the Persians, and everyone's going to speak Aramaic, and then everyone's going to get overcome by the Greeks, and then everyone's going to speak Aramaic and Greek because they're on the border of the Middle East and the Greco-Roman world. And so if you want to get anywhere, you got to speak Aramaic and Greek, okay? Almost nobody is speaking their hometown language unless they're super poor. What they're going to get is the Septuagint version. Now, there's several things in the Septuagint that are wrong, okay? There's also there are things that are quoted by the apostles, or at least by the people who wrote those books based on what the apostles were saying, because those books were written in Greek and the apostles were speaking Aramaic, okay? So they literally could have been going to the Septuagint to quote the verses that they were quoting, but the Septuagint changes them, okay? That's why you're going to have things that don't make sense in the New Testament sometimes when they're quoting the Old Testament, because the actual people you're dealing with, whether it's the mind of Paul or the apostles talking, remember, they speak Aramaic. Paul speaks Hebrew. He does speak Greek and all that, but he thinks in Hebrew because he's a freaking Pharisee. He's fully trained up in Hebrew, okay? And so a lot of times these guys have somebody else doing the writing for them, and they're going to pull that verse out of the Septuagint to copy it down, and it's not always going to be that great, okay? It's something you need to know. Your scholars should have been telling you that, but they didn't tell you that, okay? I'm figuring that out for you right now for my Apostles' Teaching book, okay? Now, this is Agag. Now, how do I know it's Agag? Because he's going to go on and he's going to talk about the Amalekites going down, okay? And the king of the Amalekites, when the Amalekites finally do go down under King Saul, is King Agag, okay? Notice it says his king. Who's king, okay? So it says Jacob, okay? O Israel, okay? Who's the first king of Israel? Now the Lord is their king, but they reject the Lord from being king, and then Saul's going to be their king. And Saul is he's not going to kill King Agag, but he's going to defeat King Agag, and he's going to be higher than King Agag, and then Samuel's going to kill him, okay? So it says, in his kingdom shall be exalted. He's going to defeat King Agag, okay? And they're going to go on, and they're going to talk about the Amalekites. So that's how I know this is about King Agag. He's going to be like, no, it's about Gog, because he wants this king to be Jesus and this to be Gog-Magog, so he can make his Islamic Antichrist theory work, okay? It's bunk. Don't believe that. God brought him forth out of Egypt. He has, as it were, the strength of a rhinoceros. Okay, think rhinoceros when you see unicorn. He shall eat up the nations of his enemies, and he shall break their bones and shall pierce them through with his arrows. Okay, he's talking about Israel, Jacob. Okay, and yes, this is going to have a double entente for Jesus because Jacob is the physical nation and Israel is the spiritual nation. And that's why his seed is in many waters. Many waters are going to represent the Gentiles, okay? But anyways, he's going to say, he couched, he lay down as a lion, and as a great lion, who shall rise him up? Remember that said about Jesus in the prophecy to Judah in Genesis 49, okay? He couched, he lay down as a lion, and as a great lion, who shall stir him up, okay? So it does have a double intent here, okay? It is about King Agag and about Saul killing King Agag, but there's a greater king of Israel, which is Jesus, okay? And then he's going to couch as a young lion who shall stir him up. That's about Jesus going back to heaven and waiting for the Antichrist to talk crap before he comes back down. Blessed is he that blesses thee, and curses that he that curses thee, okay? So the reason why Joel Richardson is getting what he's getting out of this, because there is a double intent here, okay? You have tons of prophecies that are like this. It's going to have a dual fulfillment to it. That's why you see Jacob in Israel, okay? Jacob in Israel. This is what's going to happen with Jacob up to here, and he brings Jacob forth out of Egypt, but he also brings Israel, or Jesus, out of Egypt, okay? And so now you're going to have this stuff, okay, he shall eat up nations as his enemies, he shall break their bones and pierce them through with his arrows, he couched and loud down as a lion, okay? So Jesus is going to kind of do all this too, okay? Dual fulfillment prophecy from Balaam. Isn't that awesome? And then Balak's anger was kindled against Balaam, and he smote his hands together. And Balak said unto Balaam, I have called thee to curse thine enemies, and behold, thou hast altogether blessed them 3 times. Okay? So what you're probably going to have is presumptuous Jews, knowing there seems like a dual fulfillment here, because they know about King Agag, and that was fulfilled. And so when they do the Septuagint, what they probably say, is there's a secondary fulfillment, and that's Gog. And they're going to assume that, because the Jews think Gog is, remember how Ezekiel is written, okay? You're Gog, Magog, and then the millennium. That's how the Jews think. They don't recognize Daniel's 70th week is between Gog, Magog, and the millennium, even though there's a 7-year period after Gog, Magog, right in Jeremiah, or right in Ezekiel 39. It's 39:9, okay? And the Jews are going to, in their presumption, and this is what the Jews do in the Septuagint, they are going to tell you what they think God means by those prophecies rather than just being word for word. So what these are is like a dynamic equivalent interpretation in Greek, okay? That's what the Septuagint is. And sometimes they're on and sometimes they're off, okay? Because these are uninspired Jews. These are uninspired Jews who don't necessarily believe in Jesus, okay? A lot of them are conforming to the Greek culture when they're doing this. They're going to have this mythological version about these 70 guys who all went in separate rooms and all came out with the exact same script. That's made up stuff. The Septuagint was made gradually. We don't have any copies of it earlier than the time of the Maccabees. And maybe the Maccabees really were the ones who got this thing started to try to secure up their own kingdom among the Greeks. But it is going to gradually be written from the time of the Maccabees, it looks like, to about the 1st century AD, after Christ. Okay? So you're going to have like a 200-year period in which the Septuagint is written. It's not 70 guys magically writing it all at once. Okay? That is false. Anyways, so God is so this is dual fulfillment. It's partly about King Agag. It's partly about Jesus defeating the Gentiles, going up to heaven. And he says, Balak's anger is kindled against Balaam. And he smote his hands together. And Balak said unto Balaam, I called you to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them these 3 times. He's like, I told you. Thou now flee from thy place. I thought to promote thee to great honor, but lo, the Lord has kept thee back from honor. Did he, though? And Balaam said unto Balak, Speak I not also to thy messengers which thou sentest to me, saying, If Balak would give me a house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the command of the Lord to do either good or bad of mine own mind. But what the Lord saith to me, I must speak. And now, behold, I go unto my people. Come, therefore, and I will advertise thee what these people will do to thee in the latter days. Notice, it's in the latter days now he's talking, okay? And he took up this parable, and Balaam the son of Beor said to the man whose eyes are open, he said, He has said, I have heard the words of God, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, and saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. Now remember, he's talking about the latter days, not the end times in general. He's talking about the latter days of the Moabites, okay? So he's telling them how things are going to go for them, okay? He says, I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but now not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and the scepter shall rise out of Israel, and he shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy the children of Sheth. Now, I don't know who the children of Sheth are. Tumult. substituted, third son of Adam. So I think that just might be a general world word for the nations, because all the nations would be descended from Seth. Okay, that would be my guess. Is the third son of the children of Sheth are basically everybody who came from Noah is a descendant of Sheth. Okay. And Edom shall be a possession, Seir shall also be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come one that shall have dominion, and he shall destroy what remains of the city. Okay, this is ultimate fulfillment. And when he looked at Amalek, he took up this parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nation, but the latter end he shall perish forever. Remember I was talking about Agag, and he tells him to completely wipe out the Amalekites? Then he looked at the Kenites and took up this parable. Strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. Remember, the Kenites are a Midianite tribe who are going to go live with the children of Israel, okay? Nevertheless, the Kenites shall be wasted until Asher shall carry thee away captive. Why? The Kenites are going to go dwell up among the Ephraimites. And the Ephraimites are ultimately going to go captive to the Assyrians. Okay, so they're going to be good for a while, and then they're going to go captive to the Assyrians with the Ephraimites, because that's where they're going to settle. Okay, then he took up this parable and said, Alas, who shall live when God does this? The ships shall come from the coast of Chittim. So this could mean Chittim is going to be Cyprus. So these could be Greek ships. These could be Roman ships. The point is that they're coming from the Mediterranean Sea. And everybody stages, like whether it was the Greeks or the Romans or the Egyptians, they all had Chittim, and then they'd use that island as like a staging ground for naval attacks on other places, okay? So they come from the coast of Chittim, and they shall afflict Asher and shall afflict Eber, okay? Now, Eber is going to be the forefather of pretty much all the Arabians and all the Hebrew tribes, okay? So when he says Eber, he's talking about the West Coast Arabians. So those are going to be the Western Arabians. And remember, the Greeks and the Romans are going to also subdue them back to the desert. Okay, and then the Assyrians, they're going to pretty much make their kingdom no more. Okay, because the Greeks are going to totally come in and conquer it, and then the Romans are going to conquer the Greeks, and the Assyrian kingdom's never going to rise again. Okay, and Balaam rose up and went to his place, and Balak went away. Okay. So he basically just gave them the history of them. And I want you to hear this. Now remember, some of this stuff is going to have a dual fulfillment to it because it's ultimately about Jesus, okay? But most of the stuff he said is fulfilled by the time the Romans get there, by the time of Christ's first coming, okay? So notice he's going to say stuff that is going to be, remember, this is the scepter shall rise out of Israel and shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy the children of Sheth, okay? That second coming stuff, this is all leading up to the first coming, okay? He's basically giving the prophetic history, the whole Middle East up until Christ's first coming, okay? But then he's saying stuff that Christ does in his second coming. You do not want to use this for your handbook of how things go, but it's all true stuff, okay? This is a legit prophecy from the Lord. And then Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. So this is what's going to happen. This is Balaam's fault. Balaam figures out how to get the Israelites cursed by seducing them into sin. He plays the role of Satan himself, okay? And they called the people unto the sacrifice of their gods, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. Now, I've read about this in the Talmud, okay? And I don't know if this is what really happened, but what sounds like it happened is that you had temple prostitutes to this god. And these basically temple prostitutes were essentially telling the guys that they could go down on them, okay? And in going down on them, they prostrated themselves before their god. That's how these temple prostitutes would work, okay? So I want you to understand, you got a woman lying there allowing you to have sex with her, okay? But in the act of going down to have sex with her, you are bowing down to her god. So think of the priest like her pimp, and think of the god like basically getting you to bow down for the sake of getting a taste of that, okay? And this is what they did. So you basically, by getting them to sleep with these women, that you're getting them to prostrate themselves before your idol of your Baal, okay? Remember, he's Baal Peor. Remember, Peor is where they are, okay? That's where Balaam was when he did not curse them, okay? Baal Peor is the Lord of Peor. That's what Baal Peor means, okay? So the god that the Moabites worship, basically they got that to happen through these Midianite prostitutes, okay? And the Lord said to Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them before the Lord against the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord be turned away from Israel. Get all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Lord against the sun. He said, take all the leaders of the people and execute them in broad daylight before the Lord, okay? That's what broad before the sun means. So that the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. So Moses said to the judges of Israel, each of you slay his men who have joined themselves to Baal of Peor. And behold, one of the sons of Israel came and brought to his relatives a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of the congregation of the sons of Israel, while they are weeping at the doorway in the tent of meeting. When Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest of Aaron saw it, he arose from the midst of the congregation and took the spear in his hand. So basically these prostitutes who are doing this for Baal Peor are apparently Midianites, okay? And he sees a guy still doing it, while literally like, we're going to execute people to do it. And so Phinehas literally goes when he's in the act of sleeping with this woman and drives a spear through both of them. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and pierced them both through, and the man of Israel and the woman, though through the body, and the plague of the sons of Israel was checked. Those who died by the plagues were 24,000. 24,000 people were dead before they figured out what was going on, okay? Then the Lord said to Moses, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned away my wrath for the sons of Israel, and that he was jealous with my jealousy among them, so that I did not destroy the sons of Israel by his jealousy. Therefore say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace. Now this is important because this is fulfilled in Christ, okay? Phinehas is going to be the forefather of Zadok, and then there's a Zadok the second. Zadok the second is going to have a daughter that marries into the line of Judah and becomes part of the line of Christ, okay? So listen to what he says to Phinehas. He says, therefore, behold, I give him my covenant of peace, and it shall be for him and for his descendants after him a covenant of perpetual priesthood. In other words, an everlasting priesthood. That's what he's saying. Because he was jealous for his name and made atonement for the sons of Israel. So the everlasting priesthood is not fulfilled in Zadok, but in Christ, in the Melchizedek priesthood, okay? So you want to pay attention to this when you hear about prophecies about the sons of Zadok. Because technically everybody in Christ is part of the sons of Zadok, okay? Because they're part Sadducee, okay? And the name of the slain man of Israel who was slain with the Midianite woman was Zimri, the son of Salu, the leader of the father's household among the Simeonites. And the name of the Midianite woman who was slain was Cosbi, the daughter of Zu, daughter of Bill Cosby. Cosbi, the daughter of Zur, who was the head of the father's household in Midian. Okay, so don't think of these temple prostitutes as like, oh, these are just some poor women. Okay. In a lot of cases, this would have been considered an honorable thing to have one of your kids become a temple prostitute, or like a Vestal virgin, or like a priest during the Middle Ages. Okay, it's like that. Okay, and so this guy was the head of a tribe in Midian, and his daughter was this temple prostitute, and she got a bunch of Israelites to go down on her, and because of that, the 24,000 of them were killed. And that's what they wanted. They wanted the Israelites cursed, okay? Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, be hostile to the Midianites and strike them, for they have been hostile to you with their tricks, which they have deceived you in the affair of Peor and the affair of Cosbi, the daughter of the leader of Midian, their sister who was slain on the day of the plague because of Peor. And it came to pass after the plague that the Lord spoke to Moses and Eleazar, the son of the priest, saying, take a census of all the congregation of the sons of Israel from 20 years old and upwards, by their fathers' households, whoever is able to go to war. And Moses and Eleazar the priest spoke with them on the plains of Moab by the Jordan of Jericho, saying, take a census of the people from 20 years old and upward, as the Lord commanded Moses. Now the sons of Israel who came out of the land of Egypt were Reuben's family, the firstborn, the sons of Reuben, Hanok, the family of the Hanokites, and Palu, the son of the Paluites. Of Hezron, the family of the Hezronites. Of Carmi, the family of the Carmites. These were the families of the Reubenites, and those that were numbered of them were 43,730. So they're at the end of their wilderness wanderings. Those first 600,000 people are dead. Okay? With that 24,000 that's killed, that's apparently the last of those people that died. Okay? The sons of Palu, Eliab, the sons of Eliab, Nemuel, Dathan, and Abiram. These are the Dathan and Abiram who were called by the congregation who contended with Moses and Aaron in the company when they contended against the Lord. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with Korah when the company died, and the fire devoured 250 men. so that they became a warning. Okay, so though apparently the 250 men were from Korah. They were Korahites. Okay, those were the ones who were hoping to replace the priesthood of Aaron's family. Okay. The sons of Korah, however, did not die. So these sons of Korah that didn't die, these are going to be ones who separated their house. They're actually going to become singers in the priestly singers in the temple. Okay. The sons of Simeon, according to their families: Nemuel of the family of the Nemuelites, Jamin of the family of Geminites, Jachin of the family of the Jachinites, of Zerah, the family of the Zerites, of Shaul, the family of the Shaulites. These are the families of the Simeonites, 22,200. Okay. So you see, the Reubenites are 43,000. The Simeonites are 22,000. The sons of Gad, according to their families: Zephon, the family of the Zephonites; of Haggai, the family of the Haggites; of Shuni, the family of the Shunites; of Ozni, the family of the Oznites; of Eri, the family of the Erites; of Arad, the family of the Aradites; of Areli, the son of the Arelites. These are the families of the sons of Gad, according to them numbered, 40,500. Of the son of Judah were and Onan, and and Onan died in the land of Canaan. The sons of Judah, according to their families, were Shelah, the son of the Shelonites; and Perez, the son of the Perizzites; and Zerah, the family of the Zerahites. The sons of Perez were Hezron, and the family of Hezronites; and Hamul, the family of the Hamulites. And these families, according to Judah, numbered 76,500. And the sons of Issachar, according to their families: Tola, the family of the Tolaites; Puva, the family of the Punites. And these names are going to be important when you're listening to the judges, okay? One of them I know, there's going to be a judge from the family of Tola, I think. Jeshub, the family of Jeshubites; the Shimron, the family of Shimronites. These are the families of Issachar, according to them, that were numbered 64,300. So the Issacharites have grown. You want to their numbers have changed, okay? You want to compare these numbers to the other families, because remember that the top two were the Judahites and the Danites. Now the Issacharites are up to 64,000. The Zebulonites are up to 60,000. Okay. The sons of the Zebulon, according to their families: in Zerah, the family of the Seredites; and Elon, the family of Elonites; the Jehielites, the families of the Zebulonites, according to them numbered, were 60,500. Sons of Joseph, according to their families: Manasseh and Ephraim. The sons of Manasseh: Machir, the family of the Machirites; and Machir became the father of Gilead, and the family of the Gileadites. These are the sons of Gilead: Iezer, the family of Iezerites; Helek, the family of Helekites; and Asriel, the family of Asrielites; and Shechem, the family of the Shechemites; and Shemitah, the family of Shemidaites; and Hefer, the family of the Heferites. And now Zelophehad, the son of Hefer, had no sons, but only daughters. And the names of the sons of Zelophehad were Mala, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. I met a girl named Noah, and I was just like, that's a boy's name. And she's like, no, it's not. And she showed me how much Bible she knew, and I didn't. Noah is a girl's name, too. Noah is a son, or a daughter of Manasseh, who gets an inheritance. All these girls are going to get an inheritance, okay? We'll talk about them later. These are the families of Manasseh, and those who are numbered of them were 52,700. And the sons of Ephraim, according to the families of the Ephraimites: Shulatha, the family of the Shulathites; the Shuthelahites; and Bakar, the family of the Becherites; and Tahan, the family of the Tahanites. These are the sons of Shethula and Iran, the family of the Iranites. These are the families of the sons of Ephraim, according to those that were numbered, 32,500. The Ephraimites are going down. I want to compare. So you see the numbers they had before. Notice you have Ephraimites are 40,000s, Gadites are 45,000, Simeonites are close to 60,000, Reubenites are 46,000, Zebulonites are 57,000, 54,000, Judahites are 74,000, and the Danites are 62,000. The Naphtalites are 53,000. Asherites are 41,000. Benjamin's 35,000. Manasseh's 32,000. So Manasseh's going to grow. Ephraim's going to shrink. Looking for Zebulun here. Simeon, I think, is going to shrink. Gad, Asher, Naphtali. Where's Zebulun? Oh, Zebulun, 57,000. So they're going to grow. Okay? So the numbers of the different families are going to fare better or worse. Remember, the Reubenites get a bunch of people killed. So maybe that's why they're going to do worse. The sons of Benjamin according to their families are Bela, the son of Belaites, Ashbel, the son of Ashbelites, Ahiram, the son of Ahiramites, Shaphufam, the son of the Shaphufamites, of Hufam, the family of the Hufamites, of Bela was the son of Ard and Naaman, of Ard, the family of the Ardites, of Naaman, the son of the family of the Namites. And of the sons of Benjamin according to their families, and those who were numbered were 45,600. They're doing all right, about the same. And the sons of Dan according to the family, Shusham, and the family of Shushamites, these are the family of Dan according to the families, the family of the Shushamites according to them that numbered them, were 64,400. The Danites are still going strong. I think they might be down just a little bit. The sons of Asher according to the families, Imnah, the family of the Imnites, Ishvi, the family of Ishbites, Beriah, the family of the Berites, the son of Beriah of Heber, the family of the Heberites, of Malkiel, the family of the Malkielites. The name of the daughter of Asher was Sarah, and the families of Asher according to them were numbered 53,400. The sons of Naphtali, according to the families, Jazeel, the family of the Jazelites, and Guni, the family of the Gunis. Jezer, the family of the Jezrites, and Shalem, the family of the Shelemites. And the family of Naphtali, according to their families, those were numbered of them were 45,400. And those who were numbered of the sons of Israel were 601,730. So they actually had about the same amount, even though much people died. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Among the land shall be divided for an inheritance among the number of the names. To a larger group you shall increase their inheritance, to the smaller group you shall diminish their inheritance. Each shall be given an inheritance according to those who are numbered among them, and the land shall be divided by lot, and they shall receive their inheritance according to the names of the tribes of their fathers. According to the selection by lot, their inheritance shall be divided between the larger and smaller groups. So what it seems like they're going to do is go, okay, are you a larger group or a smaller group? And they're going to take the larger portions of land, or the better, whatever, higher portions of land, give them to larger families. Smaller portions, they're going to draw from that bucket, but it's going to be by lot. Okay, these are those who are numbered of the Levites according to their families of Gershon, the family of the Gershonites, the Kohathites, the family of the Kohathites, the Merari, the family of the Merarites, the family of the Levi, the family of the Libnites, the family of the Hebronites, the family of the Mahilites, the family of the Mushites, the family of the Korites. Kohath became the father of Amram. And the name of Amram's wife was Jochebed, the daughter of Levi, who was born to Levi in Egypt, and she bore Amram, Aaron, and Moses, and their sister Miriam. To Aaron it was born Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died when they offered strange fire to the Lord. Those that were numbered of them were 23,000 from every male month old and upward, and they were not numbered among the sons of Israel, since there's no inheritance given to them among the sons of Israel. So there's only 23,000 Levites. I don't know how many Levites there were before. There's only 22,000, so they've gone up a little bit. So I guess they're still the smallest tribe in terms of the number of men there, apparently, by far. Those who were numbered by Moses and Eleazar the priest, who numbered the sons of Israel in the plains of Moab by the Jordan of Jericho. But among those there was not a man who of those who were numbered by Moses and Aaron, a priest, who numbered the sons of Israel in the wilderness of Sinai. So in other words, when they were in Mount Sinai, none of these were those that were left. These were totally different men. For the Lord had said of them, they shall surely die in the wilderness, and not a man was left of them except Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. Okay? So the 40 years has passed. All the old school guys were dead. And apparently Aaron and Miriam died towards the end of that 40 years. And then the daughters of Zelophehad, the son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, came near, and these were the daughters, Mala, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Zerah. And they stood before Moses and Eleazar the priest, before the leaders and all the congregation at the doorway of the tent of meeting, saying, Our fathers died in the wilderness, yet he was not of the company of those who gathered themselves against the Lord in the company of Korah, but he died in his own sin, and he had no sons. Okay, so in other words, he didn't die in Korah's rebellion, so apparently the people who died in Korah's rebellion, their descendants get nothing. That would be my guess. Well, these would be Levites, so the Levites wouldn't get an inheritance anyways. Maybe the people that followed them would have gotten no inheritance. I don't know. But it says, Why should the name of our father should be withdrawn from among his family because he had no son? Give us a possession among our brothers. And Moses brought their case before the Lord, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, The daughters of Zelophehad are right in their statements. You shall surely give them a hereditary position among their father's brother. You shall transfer the inheritance of their father to them. So this is a special case. Further, you shall speak to the sons of Israel, saying, if a man dies and has no son, then you shall transfer his inheritance to his daughter. If he has no daughter, then you shall give his inheritance to his brothers. If he has no brothers, you shall give his inheritance to his father's brothers. If his father has no brothers, then you shall give his inheritance to the nearest relative in his own family, and he shall possess it. And it shall be a statutory ordinance to the sons of Israel, just as the Lord commanded Moses. So he's like, I'm adding another rule here. Then the Lord said to Moses, go up to this mountain of Abiram and see the land which I have given to the sons of Israel. When you have seen it, you too will be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother was. For in the wilderness of Zin, during the strife in the congregation, you rebelled against my command to treat me as holy before their eyes at the water. These are the waters of Meribah and Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin. You smacked the rock. I didn't like that. You're not going in. Okay? And then Moses spoke to the Lord, saying, may the Lord, the God of spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation who will go out and come in before them, who will lead them out and bring them in, so that the congregation of the Lord will not be like sheep who have no shepherd. God doesn't like sheep who have no shepherd. And the Lord said to Moses, take Joshua the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand on him. Excuse me. So Joshua has the Spirit in him. And have him stand before Eleazar the priest and before the congregation, and commission him in their sight. You shall put some of your authority on him, in order that the congregation of Israel and the sons may obey him. Moreover, he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall inquire for him by the judgment of the Urim before the Lord. And at his command they shall go out, and at his command they shall come, both he and the sons of Israel with him, even all the congregation. Moses did just as the Lord commanded him, and he took Joshua and set him before Eleazar the priest before his congregation. In case you can't see that this is transitioning to a type of a new covenant, where Jesus is leading them instead of Moses, and then he's going to go Deuteronomy, and that's a type of new covenant, okay? And he laid his hands on him and commissioned him, just as the Lord had spoken through Moses. So that's what the next book is going to be right after this. Remember, he's telling Moses, you're going to do this one more thing, and then you're going to die, okay? So what you're seeing in these last, 8 chapters of Numbers, and then all of Deuteronomy, is basically one narrative, okay? Deuteronomy is basically a recapitulation of the law, a new covenant, if you will. And then Numbers is going to be the last duties of Moses before he dies, okay? So you've got about 40 chapters worth of stuff, which is all just like, you're going to die, Moses, but here's what you got to do, and here's what you got to say before you die. So command the sons of Israel and say to them, you shall be careful to present my offering, my food offerings by fire, the soothing aroma to me at their appointed time. You shall say to them, this is the offering by fire that you should offer to the Lord. 2 male lambs, 1 year old, without a defect, as a continual burnt offering every day. You shall offer 1 lamb in the morning, and the other you shall offer at twilight, okay? So, when you get to Daniel 8, you Seventh-day Adventists, and you Seventh-day Baptists, and you Millerites, and you Hebrew roots people, and all your people who want to do something with the 2,300 days, it says 2,300 mornings and evenings. That's how many morning and evening sacrifices the temple is going to be defiled for in the last days. And that defilement is the abomination of the temple includes the restarting of the Mosaic sacrifices. So if you look at 2,300, you have almost 7 years there. So it's probably like the time from when those sacrifices start to when the Lord sets his foot down on the mountain and basically destroys the temple. That's probably when they stop. Or because I'm sorry, it's going to be when the sacrifices are given plus the image of the beast. That's probably how long the 2,300 days are, and then the temple's cleansed, okay? It also could be just the temple cleansing under Antiochus. I don't have the day count for that. So, but it's not. It doesn't say days. It says mornings and evenings, and that's going to be a reference to this right here. The regular daily evening sacrifices, a lamb in the morning and a lamb in the evening. And the 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour of the grain offering mixed with a 4th hin of beaten oil. It is a continual burnt offering, which is ordained in Mount Sinai as a soothing aroma and offering by fire unto the Lord. Then the drink offering with it shall be poured, shall be a 1/4 of a hin for each lamb in the holy place. Shall pour out a drink offering of strong drink before the Lord. So you're going to pour out some liquor for your homies daily. The other lamb you shall offer at twilight, as the grain offering is in the morning, as the drink offering you shall offer it, and offer it by fire, a soothing aroma unto the Lord. So you're going to offer a lamb with bread and wine. It's like strong drink, so it might not be wine, but that's what you're going to offer. And then on the Sabbath day, 2 male lambs a year old without defect, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a grain offering, as its drink offering. This is the burnt offering every Sabbath, in addition to the continual burnt offering and the drink offering. Then at the beginning of each of your months, you shall present a burnt offering to the Lord, 2 bulls, 1 ram, 7 male lambs a year old without defect, and 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour with oil for a grain offering for each bull, and 2/10 of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering for 1 ram, and the 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering for each lamb, for the burnt offering for a soothing aroma of fire unto the Lord. Their drink offerings shall be a half a hin of wine, and a bowl for a third of a hin of a fourth ram, and a fourth of a hin of a lamb. This is the burnt offering for each month throughout the months of the year. And 1 male goat for a sin offering to the Lord shall be offered with a drink offering in addition to the continual burnt offering. Then on the 14th day of the 4th month shall be the Lord's Passover. On the 15th day of this month shall be a feast. Unleavened bread shall be eaten for 7 days. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no laborious work. You shall present an offering by fire, a burnt offering to the Lord, 2 bulls and 1 ram, one 7 male lambs a year old, having them without defect. For their grain offering you shall offer them with fine flour, with oil, 3/10 of an ephah. For the bull, 2/10 of a ram, 1/10 of an ephah you shall offer for each of the 7 lambs, and 1 male goat for the sin offering to make an atonement for you. And you shall present these beside your burnt offering in the morning, which is a continual burnt offering. So notice he's repeating all their sacrificial ordinances, okay, that he's already established in Leviticus. But he's going to say them again, okay? It's like everything is going to be mirrored between when they come out of Egypt and when they go into the Promised Land, okay? Because why? Because it's like an Old Testament, New Testament foretype, okay? Let's see. The soothing aroma to the Lord shall be presented with a drink offering in addition to the continual burnt offering. On the 7th day you shall have a holy convocation. You should do no laborious work. And on the day of first fruits, when you present the new grain offering to the Lord in your feast of weeks, you shall have a holy convocation, do no laborious work. Feast of weeks is Pentecost. You shall do no laborious work. You shall have a burnt offering for a soothing aroma to the Lord, 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 male lambs a year old. And their grain offering, fine flour with oil, 2/10 of an ephah for each bull, 2/10 of each ram, and a 1/10 of each for the 7 lambs. Also 1 male goat shall make an atonement for you. Besides the continual burnt offering with the grain offering, you shall present them with their drink offerings. They shall be without defect. Now in the 7th month and 7th day of the month, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no laborious work. And it shall be to you a day for blowing trumpets. You shall offer a burnt offering as a soothing aroma to the Lord, 1 bull, 1 ram, 7 male lambs without defect, and the grain offering, the fine flour, and their oil, and their 3/10 of an ephah for the bull, 2/10 of the ram, and 1/10 for each of the 7 lambs. Offer 1 of the male goats for the sin offering, make atonement for you, besides the burnt offering and the new moon and its grain offering, and the continual burnt offering, and the grain offering, and the drink offerings, offer according to their ordinance, for a soothing aroma, and offering by fire unto the Lord. Then 1/10 of a day in the 7th month you shall have a holy convocation, for you shall humble yourselves, and you shall do no work. You shall present a burnt offering to the Lord as a soothing aroma, 1 bull, 1 ram, 7 male lambs, 1 year old, having them a male without defect, and the grain offering and fine flour offering with oil, 3/10 of an ephah for the bull, 2/10 for 1 ram, a 10th for each of the 7 lambs, 1 male goat for a sin offering, besides the sin offering for the atonement, the continual burnt offering, the grain offering, the drink offerings. And on the 15th day of the 7th month, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no laborious work, and you shall observe a feast to the Lord 7 days. And you shall present the burnt offering by fire and the offering by fire of the soothing aroma of the Lord, 13 bulls, 2 rams, 14 male lambs without defect. For the defect, their grain offerings, their fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah for each of the 13 bulls, for each of the 2 rams, and a 10th for the 14 lambs. 1 male goat for a sin offering, besides the continual burnt offering, its grain offering, and on the drink offering. Okay, now he's going to go through this every day. This is the Feast of Tabernacles. They're apparently doing this. Okay. And for whatever reason, the bulls goes down from 13, 12, 11, and it just counts down, okay? So that by the time they get to the 7th day, they get down to 7 bulls, okay? Starts at 13, goes down to 7. Why? I don't know. If there's some type there, I don't know, okay? But he's going to go through. These are the offerings that they give through the Feast of Tabernacles, okay? Then let's see. So we're going to skip down to the 7th day because I'm not going to read that again and again and again. And he says, let's see, then on the 7th day, let's see, on the 8th day you shall have a solemn assembly. You shall do no laborious work. You shall present a burnt offering, an offering by fire, as a soothing aroma to the Lord, 1 bull, 1 ram, 7 male lambs, 1 year without defect. and their grain offering and their drink offering for a bull for the ram and the lambs according to the number by ordinance, and one male goat for a sin offering, besides a continual burnt offering and its grain offerings and a drink offering. You shall present these to the Lord at the appointed times, besides your votive offerings and your free will offerings, and your burnt offerings, and your grain offerings, and for your drink offerings, and for your peace offerings. Moses spoke to the sons of Israel in accordance to all the Lord commanded Moses. These people were constantly sacrificing. Constantly sacrificing. I don't know how they did it, except for that was essentially their meat market. Okay? They were constantly sacrificing lambs. It seems like the Lord was eating. They were eating some. The priests were eating very well. But they were constantly sacrificing. Then Moses spoke to the heads of the tribe of Israel, saying, This is the word of the Lord, which the Lord has commanded. If a man makes a vow to the Lord or takes an oath to bind himself with a binding obligation, he shall not violate his word. This is how I know we're not under the Torah anymore. Jesus says, don't make an oath. The Torah says, if you make an oath, you're bound by your word. Jesus says, don't make an oath. Okay? That's how I know we're not under the Torah. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Jesus says, don't make an oath. If a woman makes a vow unto the... Now, this is how I know women are under authority. If a woman makes a vow unto the Lord and binds herself by an obligation in her father's house in her youth, and her father hears her vow of her obligation by which she has bound herself, and her father says nothing to her, then all her vows shall stand, and every obligation which she has bound herself shall stand. So I want you guys to see this. I want you guys to see the difference between a man giving an oath and a woman giving an oath. Why is this important? Because in Jeremiah 29, before it introduces the new covenant, it's going to say, behold, I'm going to do a new thing. A woman shall be encompassed by a man. Okay? Why? Because the body of Christ is a woman. Okay? So those of us who are in the body of Christ are encompassed by a woman, if you will, as a whole. Okay? So a woman can have her vow negated. Okay? By her father or by her husband. What does that mean? It means we're off the hook. Under Jesus, God is our father, Jesus is our husband. We're off the hook for vows. So listen. But if a father should forbid her on the day he hears of it, none of her vows or obligations which she has bound herself to shall stand, and the Lord will forgive her because the Father has forgiven her. So for those of you who are like, oh, misogyny, it's not fair, women should have all the same rights as men. You don't understand what God is doing here. When he is binding the church to Christ as his wife, she falls under, listen to this. Oh, you said something stupid? You made a vow that you couldn't keep? Nope. I'm not going to allow that to stand. I spoke up. And Jesus says, make no vow. Okay? Which means the church is not subject to any vow because Jesus, her husband, said don't make any vows. Which means he's already negated any vows that we can make. Which means if the church swears allegiance to Rome or swears allegiance to the American army or any of this other stuff, under the Lord, we are free from our oath. Why? Because our husband spoke. The church is not bound to anyone. Okay? So her father shall forbid her on the day he hears her. None of her vows or her obligations which she has bound herself shall stand. The Lord will forgive her because her father forbid her. Her father forbid her. Jesus forbid us from making oaths. Okay? This is why you're going to have certain church groups refuse to join the armies and be pacifists and even go to jail for it. This is why. Because you have to make an oath to join the army, and Jesus forbids us from making oaths. You need to understand that, okay? I'm going to swear to uphold my duties as a blah, 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 blah. You can't do that. Why? You're a Christian. You can't swear oaths to anyone. That's why. This is why the ancient church would not allow you to join the military if you're a Christian. If you're already in the military, that's one thing. Get yourself out. But you weren't allowed to join the military, okay? You're going to have people like the Quakers and the Anabaptists. They're not going to join the military. They're going to be pacifists. And you're going to have the Protestants. They're going to give their oaths. They're going to join themselves to, because remember, their churches are joined to the state. They're bound to the state. They've adulterated themselves against their true husband, and they bound themselves to the state. Okay? However, if she should marry while under her vows in a rash statement of her lips by which she has bound herself, and her husband hears it and says nothing to her on the day he hears it, then her vows shall stand, and her obligations by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if on the day her husband hears it, he forbids her, and he shall annul her vow which she is under, and the rash statement of her lips by which she has bound herself, and the Lord will forgive her. This is why, if you were a sales guy or somebody, you don't try to do a deal with some man's wife or some man's daughter. And every woman was meant to be under the authority of either a husband or a father. Okay? And so the idea is you don't try to do some shisty thing, because if her father hears about it, if it's a week later, a month later, her father just hears about it and like, no, I don't allow that. That was a stupid deal. It's done. This is why you don't deal, you don't try to be sneaky like that, okay? And the vow of a widow or a divorced woman, everything by which she has bound herself shall stand against her. Okay, now the vow of a widow or a divorced woman, a widow whose husband is dead, a divorced woman who is alone, everything by which she has bound herself shall stand against her. Boy, we don't want to be a widow or a divorced woman, do we? However, if she vowed in her husband's house or bound herself by an obligation with an oath, and her husband heard it, but said nothing to her and did not forbid her, then all her vows shall stand, and every obligation by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her husband indeed annuls them on the day that he hears them, when whatever proceed from his lips concerning her vows, concerning her obligation of herself, shall not stand, her husband has annulled them, and the Lord will forgive her. Every vow and every binding oath to humble herself, her husband may confirm it, or her husband may annul it. But if her husband indeed says nothing to her from day to day, and he confirms all her vows or obligations which are on her, and he has confirmed them because he has said nothing to her on the day he heard them. But if he indeed annuls them after he has heard them, then he shall bear her guilt. These are the statutes. If he indeed annuls them after he has heard him, then he shall bear her guilt. What does that mean? It means your wife can't get herself sold into slavery, but you have to bear her guilt. Okay? This is all foretyping Christ. He bears our guilt. He annuls our vows. He sets us free from the law. Remember the law. Remember the law is not an eternal thing. It's something they signed up for. They signed up for the law, okay? They said, we will do this. God says, if you agree to this and we agree to this, then I'll do this for you, but you got to do this for me, okay? They signed up for it. And under Christ, they can get out from it, remember? Why? Because we've died and we can be married to another, okay? So Jesus is that husband, okay? Jesus can get us out of the law because we've died and he's died too. And these are the statutes which the Lord commanded Moses between a man and his wife, between a father and a daughter, while she is in her youth. So when Paul is going to say in 1 Corinthians that a woman is to be under authority as even the law says, this is what he is talking about, okay? He's talking about Numbers 30. He's talking about the law of vows. Why? Because a woman is not supposed to speak out from under a man in the church. That's why. Why? Because her speaking, her vows, her words carry weight, and that weight can be annulled by a man. No, that prophecy is not from the Lord. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take vengeance on this for the sons of Israel, on the Midianites. Afterwards you shall be gathered to your people. So in other words, once you kill these Midianites, you'll be gathered to your people. You're going to spew out a big, long Deuteronomy, but then you're going to be gathered to your people. Moses spoke again to the people, saying, arm men from among you for the war, that they may go out against Midian to execute the Lord's vengeance on Midian. So I want you to kind of understand. You have Exodus followed by Leviticus, okay? That's the type, that is the old covenant. Then you're going to have Numbers followed by Deuteronomy. That is a type of the new covenant. It really is a reiteration of the covenant after all those people who died in the wilderness, and now it's their children. But it foretypes the new covenant. Okay, so Exodus and Numbers and Leviticus and Deuteronomy are kind of a mirror of one another. Okay. 1,000 from each tribe of the tribes of Israel you shall send to the war. So they furnished from the 1,000 of Israel 1,000 from each tribe, 12,000 armed for war. Moses sent them 1,000 from each tribe to the war, and Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest to war with them, and the holy vessels and the trumpets for the alarm of his hand. And so they made war against Midian, just as the Lord commanded Moses, and they killed every male, and they killed the kings of Midian along with the rest of their slain, Evi and Rakan and Zur and Hur and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, with a sword. So apparently Balaam went and talked these Midianites into sending their daughters out as temple prostitutes to seduce the Israelites on behalf of the Moabites. Okay? The sons of Israel captured the women of Midian and their little ones and all their cattle and all their flocks and all their goods they plundered. Now remember, he has all these laws that he's going to... Oh, this is going to be in Deuteronomy that he talks about these laws of shaving a woman and then taking her for your wife. I think it's in Deuteronomy. It might be in Leviticus, but I think it's in Deuteronomy because they capture all these women, okay? And this is about how you can take them to be your wife, okay? But you have to shave them to show that they're not covered. In other words, they don't have a husband or a father to cover for them. To humble them, and then basically say, but I'm going to do you a grace and take you to be my wife, and so you have a covering, okay? So it says, then they burned all their cities, and they lived in where they lived in all their camps with fire. So these are Midianite cities that are apparently scattered throughout, the wilderness area. I'm not sure exactly where they are. And they took all the spoil and all the prey, both man and beast, and they brought captives and the prey and the spoil to the Moses and Eleazar the priest and the congregation of the sons of Israel in the camp of the plains of Moab, which are by the Jordan opposite Jericho. Moses and Eleazar the priest and all the leaders of the congregation went out to meet them outside the camp. Moses was angry with the officer of the army and the captains of the thousands and the captains of the hundred who had come from service to the war. And Moses said to him, have you spared all the women? Behold, these caused the sons of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor, so the plague that was among them in the congregation of the Lord. So they know this was all on Balaam. Remember, this is like a prophet versus prophet thing going on. Moses is like, I'm a prophet, he's a prophet, and he tried to undermine my prophesying with his prophesying, okay? And he knows it's Balaam. And so he knows they're using Midianite women to do this. So what is he going to do? Therefore, kill every male among their little ones, and kill every woman who has known a man intimately. So only the virgin women are there going to spare, okay? But all the girls who have not known a man intimately, spare for yourselves. In other words, you guys can take them for wives later on. Okay? And you camp outside the camp 7 days, and whoever has killed any person, whoever has touched any slain, purify yourselves, you and your captives. And on the 3rd day and on the 7th day you shall purify for yourselves every garment and every article of leather, and all the work of goat's hair, and all the articles of wood. And Eleazar the priest said to the men of war who had gone to battle, this is the statute of the law the Lord has commanded Moses. Only the gold and silver, the bronze and the iron, the tin, the lead, everything that can stand the fire, you shall pass through the fire, and it shall be clean, but shall be purified with water for impurity. And whatever can't stand the fire, you shall pass through the water. You shall wash your clothes on the 7th day and be clean. Afterwards you may enter the camp. So he's telling them they're unclean for touching a dead body when they went to war. Okay? Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, you and Eleazar the priest, the heads of your father's household, and the congregation, take account of the booty that was captured, both of man and animal, and divide the booty between the warriors who went out to battle. All the congregation levy a tax for the Lord from the men who went to war, went to the battle, 1 in 500 of the persons, and out of the cattle and the donkeys and the sheep. Okay, so 1 of the 500 persons they took captive are going to be servants to the priests now, and of the cattle and the donkeys and the sheep are going to go to the priests now. Take it from the half and give it to Eleazar the priest as an offering to the Lord. Remember, Phinehas went with them. Phinehas is Eleazar's son. And he was blessing them. So it's kind of like a Melchizedek type thing, but not so much. From the sons of Israel's half, you should take out, drawn out of 1 of every 50 of the persons of the cattle, and the donkeys of the sheep from all the animals. Give them to the Levites who keep charge of the tabernacle of the Lord. So Eleazar the priest is going to get 1 in 500, and then 1 in 50 is going to be given to the Levites. Moses and Eleazar the priest did just as the Lord commanded Moses. Now the booty that remained from the spoil which the men plundered was 675,000 sheep. That's a lot of sheep. That's almost a sheep for every guy in Israel. Isn't that nice? Or every soldier. 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and of human beings, of the women who had not known men intimately, all the persons were 32,000. So they just captured 32,000 people for future wives. Isn't that nice? And the half of the portion of those who went out to war was as follows. The number of sheep was 33,500, and the Lord's levy of the sheep was 675, and the cattle were 36,000, from the Lord's levy was 72. And the donkeys were 30,500, from which the Lord's levy was 61. And the human beings were 16,000, from which the Lord's levy was 32 persons. So 32 persons are now going to serve the Levites as servants. Moses gave the levy to the Lord, the offering to Eleazar the priest, just as the Lord commanded Moses, and for the sons of Israel's half, which Moses separated from the men who went out to war. Now the congregation's half was 337,500 sheep, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys. So in other words, Moses has taken half of it for basically the whole congregation of Israel, and those soldiers who went to war get to keep the other half, I think. And the human beings were 16,000. And from the sons of Israel's half, Moses took one drawn from every 50, both of man and animals, and gave them to the Levites, who kept charge of the tabernacle of the Lord, just as the Lord commanded Moses. And the officers that were over the thousands of the army, the captains of the thousands, the captains of the hundreds, approached Moses, and they said to Moses, "Your servants have taken a census of the men of war who are in our charge, and no man of us is missing." So not one of their guys died. Okay. So we have brought as an offering to the Lord that each man found articles of gold, armlets, bracelets, signet rings, earrings, and necklaces to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord. Okay? I want you to understand what's going on here. The Lord has taken half the spoils of the world, but the Lord made sure not one of them died. 12,000 people went to war, and in that war, just the virgin women they took were 32,500, okay? Which means those 12,000 people went to war probably against hundreds of thousands of people. Okay, if just the virgin women are 32,500, then there were probably well over 100,000 people. Okay, and those 12,000 took them out without one person dying. Okay, Moses and Eleazar the priest took the gold from them, all kinds of raw. So these people are voluntarily giving an offering of all this gold and silver and stuff like that to the Lord as a atonement, or it's like a ransom for the fact that the Lord kept them all from dying. Okay. So Moses and Eleazar the priest took from the Lord from them all kinds of wrought articles, all the goldly offerings which they offered up to the Lord, from the captains of the thousands to the captains of the hundred. It was 16,750 shekels of silver. That's a lot of silver. And men of war had taken booty, every man for himself. So Moses and Eleazar the priest took the gold from the captains of the thousands and the hundred and brought it in the tent of the meeting as a memorial for the sons of Israel before the Lord. Okay, so obviously they're not just going to leave that gold sitting there. It's probably going to go to various expenses, maybe taking care of the poor. It's obviously you're going to have stuff like that because David is going to supply all that stuff when they build the temple. So the Levites are starting to bank a little bit. Now the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad had an exceedingly large number of livestock, and so when they saw the land of Jazer and the land of Gilead, that it was indeed a place suitable for livestock. Remember, Golan Heights is going to be kind of high, and it's going to all flow down to like plains and stuff like that. And they're like, "Ooh, this is great land for us, and we're pretty much cowboys, so we should take this land." And Gad and the sons of Reuben came and spoke to Moses and Eleazar the priest and the leaders of this congregation, saying, "Adaroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elias, Sebam, Nebo, Beon, and the land which the Lord conquered before the congregation of Israel is a land for livestock, and your servants have livestock." And they said, "I have not found favor in your sight. Let us give the land to be your servants as a possession, and take us not across the Jordan." But Moses said to the sons of Gad and the sons of Reuben, "Shall your brothers go to war while you yourself sit here?" In other words, we're going to go fight in the promised land, and you guys are just going to settle in this land that we already took, all of us together. "Now, why are you discouraging the sons of Israel from crossing over to the land which the Lord has given them? This is what your fathers did when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to see the land." Remember, back 40 years ago? "For when they went to the valley of Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the sons of Israel, and they did not go into the land which the Lord had given them. So the Lord's anger was burned in that day, and he swore, saying, None of the men who came from Egypt from 20 years old and upwards shall see the land which I swore to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, for they did not follow me fully, except Caleb the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, and Joshua the son of Nun, for they have followed the Lord fully. So the Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years until the entire generation of those who have done evil in the sight of the Lord was destroyed. Now, behold, you've risen up in your father's place, a brood of sinful men, to add still more burning anger to the Lord against Israel. For if you turn away from following him, he will once more abandon them in the wilderness and will destroy all these people. Then they came and said to him, We will build here sheepfolds and livestock and cities for our little ones, and we ourselves will be armed, ready to go before the sons of Israel, until we have brought them to their place where the little ones live in the fortified cities because of the inhabitants of the land. In other words, he's saying, we're gonna build these cities up, leave them for our wives and kids, and we're gonna go across into the land and fight with you until we've conquered everything we need to conquer for everybody else, and then we're gonna come back here in our land. We are not gonna bail on our duty to fight. Okay. We will not return to our homes until every one of us of the sons of Israel has possessed his inheritance. For we will not have an inheritance with them that go on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance has fallen to us on this side of the Jordan towards the east. And Moses said to them, if you will do this, and if you will arm yourselves before the Lord for the war, and all of your armed men cross over the Jordan before the Lord until he has driven out his enemies before him, and the land is subdued before the Lord, then afterwards you shall return and be free of obligation towards the Lord and towards Israel, and this land shall be yours for a possession for the Lord. So it's like, if you want this for your land, just so you know, it's going to be like, it's going to end up being like this. Reuben, right here in the land, that's where they were. Remember, that's the land they take from Sihon. Manasseh is going to get the land they take from Og, king of Bashan. And Gad is going to get the land that's between them. So this was all taken from the Moabites. And the Ammonites are back here, and the Moabites are right here. Or, I'm sorry, this is all taken from the Amorites. And Moabites, Edomites, and Ammonites are going to be over here. Okay? Ammonites don't have the best land. There's not a whole lot of rivers and stuff there. It's like plains and stuff. It's not as deserty as it is probably today. But it's not the best. Moabites have at least part of the Dead Sea, and it's not so dried up and salty as it is today. And the Edomites have mountains and stuff. So he said, but if you do not do so, behold, you have sinned against the Lord, and you're sure your sin will find you out. Build yourself cities for your little ones, and sheepfolds for your sheep, and do what you have promised. The Lord Gad and the sons of Reuben spoke to Moses and said, your servants will do as our Lord commands. Our little ones, our wives, and our livestock and our cattle will remain there in the cities of Gilead, while your servants, everyone is armed for war, will cross over in the presence of the Lord to do battle, just as the Lord says. So Moses gave command concerning Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the father's household and the tribes of the sons of Israel. And Moses said to them, if the sons of Gad and the sons of Reuben, everyone who is armed for battle, will cross with you over the Jordan in the presence of the Lord, and the land is subdued before you, then you shall give them the land of Gilead for a possession. But if they will not cross over with you armed, and shall have possessions among you in the land of Canaan, the sons of Gad and the sons of Reuben answered, saying, as the Lord has said to your servants, so we will do. We ourselves will cross over armed in the presence of the Lord into the land of Canaan, in the possession of our inheritance, and shall remain with us across, and the possession of our inheritance shall remain with us across Jordan. In other words, we will be happy to have this land instead of sharing this land. So Moses gave them to the sons of Gad, the sons of Reuben, and to the half-tribe of Joseph's son Manasseh, the kingdom of Sihon, the kingdom of the Amorites, the kingdom of Og, the king of Bashan, and the land with its cities and its territories, and the land and the surrounding land. All of it you can have. And the sons of Gad built Dibon and Ataroth and Eror and Atroth, Shophan and Gazer and Jogabah and Beth Nimrah and Beth Haran and its fortified cities and the sheepfolds for the sheep. And the sons of Reuben built Heshbon and Eliah and Kiriath Jearim. Now remember, this is pretty good land because yes, you're going to have the Arameans up here and you're going to have the Ammonites down here and the Moabites down here. But on the other side of them is all desert. So you're not going to get a lot of guff from other people, and obviously they're going to be stronger peoples than those guys. The Arameans are actually going to be not a strong kingdom for a while because they're going to be part of this kingdom called the Mitanni. Let's see if I can show you the Mitanni. The Mitanni, remember that alliance of Amorites and Armenians that is up here, and then the other Amorites are going to be down here in Babylon, okay? So those kingdoms are going to remain until Assyria basically conquers them centuries later. And as the Mitanni kingdom kind of starts to lose to the Assyrians, then the Amorites are going to start to rise. And that's not going to be until the days of David. So that's you're talking about 400 plus years from now, okay? So they actually have many centuries where you have the Moabites and the Edomites not really giving them much guff. Well, no, I take that back. They are going to give them some guff in the book of Judges, but it's not going to be long-lived guff, okay? So the sons of Reuben built Heshbon and Eliah and Kirathim and Neel and Nebo and Belmeon, and the names of the cities, their names of their cities being changed, and Sibmah, and they gave other names to the cities that they built, okay? Now this is how you know this is written in the days of Noah, or days of Moab, okay? They built all this stuff, but the names of the cities were changed. Okay, so basically they took these cities from them and changed their names. Changed them to what? We don't know. They haven't done it yet. Okay, but this is what they're doing. Okay, this is what Moses is taking record of, is that these guys got these cities from Og king of Bashan, and this is what they were named when they took them. Okay, and the sons of Machir and the sons of Manasseh went to Gilead and took it and dispossessed the Amorites who were in it. Okay, so once the big king was gone, then they just started taking out all the locals and just taking all their cities. Okay, so Moses gave Gilead to Machir the son of Manasseh, and he lived in it. Now they're going to talk more about this conquest here in the book of Chronicles. Okay, but these Manassites, essentially these sons of Machir and these Gileadites, are tough guys, and you're going to find them being very prominent in the book of Judges, and they're going to be running stuff for a while. Okay, and basically these people seem to have some links to this land before even their slavery in Egypt. Because remember, they're in Egypt for 100 plus years, not as slaves. And they seem to be going back and forth to get wives here. And so the Manassites seem to have it. And remember how Jacob talks about a land that he took from the Amorites. Let's see if we can find that back in Genesis. So he talks about the burial site of Ephraim. Genesis 48. So he says, he blessed Ephraim and Manasseh, and he says, Joseph, behold, I'm about to die. And he says, I give you one portion more than your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow. Okay? So this apparently is going to be that other portion. So I don't know if he's prophesying that they're going to take that later, or that he actually had taken it from the Amorites in a battle during his life, and that is the land that they're going to get. Because you notice when the people who want the land, it's mostly just Gad and Reuben, but somehow this half-tribe is going to get there. But when you get to Machir, this dude Machir, you're going to get this whole story of how Machir married, like who they married into. So these Manassites here are going to actually be married in with Judahites. Okay, so the Judahites are a big tribe, right? And the Manassites are going to be pretty hardcore. And this group of people who are up here in this half tribe of Manasseh are going to be half Judahites and half Manassites. And David is going to actually go hide and chill among them while Saul's persecuting him, okay? And while he's there, there's also going to be an Aramaean king that I think the kingdom is called Geshur, and that's where he's going to marry the mother of Absalom, who tries to take over his kingdom, okay? So we'll get into that later when we get into Chronicles in the days of David. But they're going to talk about this whole genealogy of Gilead and Machir and Manasseh, okay? They're all the son of Manasseh. And apparently his concubine, so it says, the sons of Manasseh, Ashriel, who she bare his concubine, the Aramites, bare Machir, the father of Gilead, okay? So these Manassites are intermarried with these Aramaeans here, okay? And that's why they come back here and take that part of the land. So what you probably have is Manassites that stayed there and that were never part of the Egyptian tribes. That would be what I imagine based on this genealogy. And now that Og, king of Bashan, is defeated, they are now the dominant people. Okay? Because now it's a half tribe of Manasseh. This is why it's weird. Why are they calling it a half tribe of Manasseh? Why is it divided? And you get this in Chronicles. This tribe of basically Judahites mixed with Manassites apparently were there the whole time. And that's why you just hear about Gad and Reuben asking for this land to be theirs, and all of a sudden this half tribe of Manasseh is just there. Okay? Well, this half tribe of Manasseh seems to basically be married in with the Aramaeans. The Geshurites are going to be among them, and then they're married in with the Judahites. And this seems to be where the Jews were going back and forth from in Egypt to get wives during the Egyptian captivity, okay? And you're gonna read about this stuff in some of the Ken Johnson is gonna get into some of this stuff with the literature of the basically the Dead Sea Scrolls. And there's going to be stories here about people who were part of the Israelite tribes before they were slaves, but they get caught back here because they were going here to get wives and stuff like that for their children's. And then they end up trapped outside of Egypt because of the war between Egypt and the Hittites. Okay, so this guy, there's a story of like one of the sons of like, I forget, Naphtali or something like that, and he's trapped away from his wife for years. Okay, anyways, remember the Arameans. Laban is still among them. Okay, so you have these relationships between the Arameans and the descendants of Abraham that go way back from when Abraham was there. And so what you're going to have here is not necessarily every last person was in Egypt, okay? Some of them are going to be here. And that's why you want to read about this stuff in Chronicles and understand it's a convoluted history that's not as clean and crisp as you imagine. It's not like every last Jew went into Egypt and then every last Jew came out. Some of them were still out there, okay? And that's why you're going to get these scholars based on archaeology and stuff like that are going to make it sound like the Israelites didn't come out of Egypt. They were just a confederacy that formed and called themselves Israel. Well, that's not entirely false, but it's not true. Okay, the majority of them were in Egypt and they came out. But you're going to have these others that are going to have been in the land, and they're going to basically become this half tribe of Manasseh that's out here again. Again, these are going to be people from Manasseh, from David, and from descended from Arameans because they're married in with them. And so, yeah, like I said, you're gonna read about that in Chronicles. It looks like 1 Chronicles 2 and 1 Chronicles 7 is going to account some of this stuff. And again, it's just more genealogical stuff, but it will help this stuff in Numbers make sense. And then in 2 Samuel, you're going to read about David sent and bought from him the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, the son of Lodebar. And then it looks like these sons of Manasseh, remember, these are sons of Manasseh, that so the daughters of Zelophehad, Noah, and all of them, they're going to be prominent, okay? Because they're mentioned in Joshua, it looks like, too. And this Jair is going to have a bunch of judges that come from him. They're going to ride like 70 donkeys and stuff like this. So this tribe, whoever they are, they're hardcore, they're big warriors, and they had links outside of Egypt the entire time, okay? It's not simple. These people are going to kind of fade after David, but they're going to be a big deal between... remember this half tribe of Manasseh, these they're going to be called the Gileadites, okay? So that's why you're going to have these people, and they're like, who are these Gileadites? Well, they're the half tribe of Manasseh, okay? They're called the half tribe of Manasseh because they're really a big chunk of the tribe of Manasseh on this side of the river, but you're going to hear these people called the Gileadites because that's where they are. It says the heads of the father's household, the family of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of the sons of Joseph, came near and spoke. So remember, before Jacob dies, this is long before Jacob dies, or this is before Jacob dies and long before they're slaves, he gives this land to Joseph, which he took from the Amorites with his sword and his bow, okay? So apparently they're going to leave Egypt way before, and they're going to go and get involved with this land, okay? And then, like I said, they're probably going to be dominated by Og, king of Bashan, for a while. The Amorites are apparently going to get themselves a Nephilim to throw down business. And then they're going to kind of rise up after this land is after Og, king of Bashan, is delivered, okay? And because their other Manassites are the ones that stayed in Egypt over here, that's why you have the half-tribe of Manasseh here. If that makes sense, okay? I think this is a kind of theory, kind of conjecture, but I've been studying this different stuff, and it just doesn't make sense if you think that these guys weren't there. There's clearly stuff that went on with these people while they were in Egypt, okay? Just based on the genealogies. So, The sons of Machir, the son of Manasseh, went to Gilead and took it and dispossessed the Amorites who were in it. So Moses gave Gilead to Machir, the son of Manasseh, and he lived in it. Jair, the son of Manasseh, went and took its towns and called it Havoth Jair. So probably you had a lot of these Manassites who were knew that was once their land, and they went and took it. And Moses is like, I'll allow it. Okay. Yeah, that's as well as I understand it. Okay, remember they're intermarried, they're intermixed, they're half Judite, half Manassite, part Aramean. Okay, these are the journeys of the sons of Israel, by which they came out from Egypt by the land of their armies under the leadership of Aaron. So they're going to actually now summarize the whole 40 years in the wilderness. Moses recording their starting places according to their journeys by the command of the Lord, and by their journeys by their starting places. They journeyed first from Ramses in the first month, in the 15th day of the month, and the next day after Passover, the sons of Israel started out boldly in the sight of all the Egyptians. While the Egyptians were bearing all their firstborn, whom the Lord had struck down among them, the Lord also executed judgment on their gods. Then the sons of Israel journeyed from Ramses and came to Succoth. Then from Succoth they camped in Etham, which is on the edge of the wilderness. They journeyed from Etham and turned to Piharoth, which faces Baal Zephon, when they camped before the Migdol. And then they journeyed before Hereth and passed through the midst of the sea in the wilderness. And they went 3 days' journey in the wilderness from Etham and camped at Marah. So that's from Egypt crossing the Red Sea. They journeyed from Marah and came to Elim. In Elim there are 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there. They journeyed from Elim and camped by the Red Sea. They journeyed through the Red Sea and camped by the wilderness of Sin. They journeyed from the wilderness of Sin, camped by Dophkah. They journeyed from Dophkah and camped by Alush. They journeyed from Alush and camped by Rephidim. And now it was there that the people had no water to drink. They journeyed from Rephidim and camped by, so that's where he gets water from the rock the first time. They journeyed from Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They journeyed from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hattava. From Kibroth Hattava to Hazeroth, from Hazeroth to Rithmah, from Rithmah to Ramon Perez, from Ramon Perez, isn't that one of the Israelite prime ministers? I think it is. Libnah and Risa to Kehiloth to Mount Shepher to Harada, from Harada to Mechaloth. They journeyed from Mechaloth to Tahath to Terah to Mithkah to Hashmanah to Maseroth to Bene Jacan to Hor Hagadad to Jothba to Benora to Ezion Geber, and Ezion Geber is the camp by the wilderness of Zin, that is Kadesh. They journeyed from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor, the edge of the land of Edom. Then Aaron the priest went up from Hor at the command of the Lord and died there in the 40th year after the sons of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt on the first day in the 5th month. So Aaron dies on year 40. I think it's in the wilderness of Zin that Miriam dies, so not long before that, okay? Aaron was 123 years old when he died at Mount Hor, and the Canaanite, the king of Arad, who lived in Negeb in the land of Canaan, heard the coming of the sons of Israel, and they journeyed from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmah, and journeyed from Zalmonah, camped at Punan. So that's where the Israelites are going to get, a bunch of them are going to get kidnapped by Canaan, and Moses is like, if you avenge me on them, blah, blah, blah. They journeyed at Punan, camped at Oboth, from Oboth to Abiram, Moab, and Ayim, and camped at Dibengad to Almoth Diblathaim, and Almon Diblathaim to the mountains of Biro before Nebo, and they journeyed from the mountains of Abiram and camped in the plains of Moab on Jordan opposite Jericho. So this is going to be their main encampment right here, where Reuben ends up getting the land. It's actually kind of split between Reuben and Moab and Gad. Okay. And they camped by the Jordan from Beth Jeshimoth, from Abel Shittim in the plains of Moab. Then the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab on the Jordan opposite of Jericho, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, When you cross over the Jordan to the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you, destroy their figured stones, and destroy their molten images, and demolish their high places. And you shall take possession of the land and live in it, for I have given the land to you to possess it. You shall inherit the land by lot, according to your families. To the larger you shall give more inheritance, to the smaller you shall give less inheritance. Wherever the lot falls to anyone, they shall be his. You shall inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. So what they seem to do is mark out these lands and go, okay, bigger tribes, we're going to have these 5 bigger lands and these 5 smaller lands, and then we're going to draw straws to see who gets which, okay? The Danites are going to be apparently among the smaller ones, but bigger of the smaller ones. They're going to get that. Benjamin actually gets prophecy that he's going to be on the shoulder of Judah, and he's going to be right there, sandwiched on the top of Judah, right beneath Ephraim. And Ephraim and Manasseh are going to get the big ones. Naphtali is going to get some big stuff. Asher's going to get some big stuff. And Dan's not going to be happy with his lot, so he's going to go get Dan up here and then sail away. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall come about that those who you let remain of them will become as pricks in your eyes and as thorns in your sides, and they will trouble you in the land where you live. And I plan to do to them, so will I to you. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the sons of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land of Canaan, this is the land that you shall fall to you as an inheritance, even the land of Canaan according to its borders. Your southern sector shall extend from the wilderness of Zin, the side of Edom. So apparently the wilderness of Zin is right alongside Edom here. And your southern border shall extend to the end of the Salt Sea, so from there to of the Salt Sea eastward, so where it ends to the east. Then your border shall be from the direction south from Akrabim and continue to Zin, and its termination shall be south of Kadesh Barnea, and shall reach to Hazradar and continue to Asmon. So obviously they camped in these places, so they know where this is, and that's how they get this border. The border shall turn in the direction from Asmon to the brook of Egypt. So the brook of Egypt is going to be up here in a corner. So see there, you see the wilderness of Zin, the Amalekites. They still got to take out some of them, but they're going to fully take them out. But the brook of Egypt is going to be right here. It's always going to be right there. Today, they're going to get down to Elat. I think they have this under Solomon, but they don't get that in the beginning. In the beginning, Judah is there. It's going to be the southern border, and it's going to be going down to here and then up to here. That might be more accurate, or that might be more accurate. That's probably more accurate. So then it says, and you shall have the great sea, that is your coastline, that shall be your west border. So the Philistines are in their land, but if you understand why, so God doesn't specifically command them to drive out the Philistines, but the reason is because Abraham and Isaac both had covenants with these Philistines down here when they used to be in what is now Judah and Simeon with their big flocks and herds, and they made covenants with these guys. Remember, they both get their wife taken away because they both lie about their wife being their sister, and the king's like, well, I want her for a wife, and they don't say anything. And then they end up making deals with them for peace between them, okay? So that's the reason why God is not dispossessing the Philistines of that region. Remember, the Philistines would have been like the Egyptian garrison in that area. But the Amalekites, he wants them to totally take out. And so he's going to say that this Mediterranean border all the way down to this brook of Egypt, which is going to be down here. It's the brook of Egypt. It's not the river of Egypt, okay? It's not the Nile River that their land is to. I used to think that too. This whole greater Israel theory is not it. God gives them to the brook of Egypt, and he designates that land over and over and over again. It's very clear the Sinai Peninsula and Goshen and all that stuff does not belong to the Jews, okay? Not according to God. And this shall be your north border. You shall draw a borderline from the Great Sea to Mount Hor. From the Great Sea to Mount Hor. Remember, that's where Aaron is buried. Apparently in the Ammonites? Maybe he's up here. I'm not sure. You shall draw a line from Mount Hor to Lebo Hamath, and the termination of the border shall be Zedad. And the border shall proceed from Ziphron, and its termination shall be at Hazar Anan, and this shall be your north border. I don't know exactly where all that is, but apparently it's up here. And for your eastern border, you shall draw a line from Hazar Hanan to Shepham, and the border shall go from Shepham to Riblah to the east side of Ain, and the border shall be down and reach to the slope to the side of the Sea of Chinnereth. Don't know where that is. Maybe that's the Sea of Galilee at that time? Yeah, apparently the Sea of Chinnereth is the Sea of Galilee. That's its original name. Cool. We learned something new today. And the border shall go down to the Jordan, and its termination shall be the Salt Sea, and this shall be the land according to the borders all along. So God is basically giving them their complete borders of their land, so they know if He's not saying go conquer other lands besides these. He's basically saying I'll protect you if you follow my law within these lands. And then the law is governs those lands. Whether you're Jew or Gentile living there, you have to keep these laws, okay? Which is why he's going to send lions among people who don't keep them when they're up in here. So Moses commanded the sons of Israel, saying, this is the land that you are going to apportion by lot among your possession, which the Lord has commanded you to give to 9.5 tribes. Because why? Because 10, 11, 12 is going to be there. For the tribe of the sons of Reuben have received their, according to their fathers' households, and the tribes of the sons of Gad, according to their fathers' households, and the tribe of Manasseh have received their possession, or the half tribe of Manasseh. And 2.5 tribes have received their possession across the Jordan, opposite Jericho, eastward towards the sun rising, towards the east. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, these are the names of the men who shall apportion the land for your inheritance. Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun. You shall take one leader from every tribe to apportion the land for your inheritance. These are the names of the men: the tribe of Judah, Caleb the son of Jephunneh; the tribe of the son of Simeon, Samuel the son of Ammihud; of the tribe of Benjamin, Eliadad the son of Shizlon; of the tribe of the sons of Dan, a leader, Buki the son of Jogli; of the son of Joseph, the tribe of the sons of Manasseh, Hamiel the son of Ephod; of the tribe of the sons of Ephraim, a leader. Kemuel the son of Shiftan; of the tribes of Zebulun, a leader. Elizaphan the son of Parnak; of the tribe of Issachar, a leader. Peltiel the son of Azan. I'm thinking a leader is probably not the best translation. It's probably just chief so and so. Of the tribe of the children, the prince of the tribe of the children of Naphtali. So it's chief so and so. Pedahel the son of Ammihud. These are those who the Lord commanded to divide the inheritance, the children of Israel, according to the land of Canaan. King James is always not the most common sensey when it comes to translation. I don't know why. A leader. That's an NRSV. A chief. Just say chief so-and-so. I don't know why they need to say a chief. Okay. So those are the guys who are designated to draw their lots to apportion their land, apparently, and probably to divide them up among the tribe itself. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho, saying, command the children of Israel that they give unto the Levites the inheritance of their possession to dwell in, and you shall give unto the Levites suburbs and the cities round about them. In the cities shall they have to dwell in, and the suburbs of them shall be for their cattle, and they and their goods, and for all their beasts, and the suburbs of the cities, which you shall give unto the Levites, shall reach from the wall of the city and outward 1,000 cubits round about. And you shall measure from without the city on the east side 2,000 cubits on the south side, 2,000 cubits on the west side, 2,000 cubits on the north side, 2,000 cubits, and the city shall be in the midst, and there shall be unto them the suburbs of the cities. And among the cities where you shall give the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which you shall appoint for the manslayer, which he may flee thereto. And to them you shall add 42 cities, and to them you shall add 42 cities. Why would you add 42 cities to 6 cities? You've got 48 cities total, but why? So all the cities which you give to the Levites shall be 48 cities. Okay, so 6 of the 48 cities are for manslayers to flee to. Then you shall give them your suburbs. So he's going to get into explaining how if you kill somebody by accident, or like you got in a fight with them, but it wasn't like I tried to kill this dude because I hated him for a long time, you can go flee to this city, and it's the sanctuary city. Okay? And the cities you shall give will be the possession of the children of Israel. From them that you shall give many. From them that have few you shall get few. Let's get something easier to read here. You shall take more from the larger and take less from the smaller. You shall give each some of his cities to the Levites in proportion to the possession which he inherited. In other words, you're going to take some cities for the Levites in all these places. The Levites are going to be among you. You're going to have the sanctuary cities among you, and you're also just have Levites in general among you to hopefully keep you knowledgeable of the law. They are going to have priestly duties, apparently, but like, what are they generally going to do if they're not moving the tabernacle around anymore? They just live among you. They have their flocks and their herds. They have their cities, but they don't have lands, it seems like. So they do have flocks and herds, and it looks like they might be getting donated flocks and herds and stuff like that from tithes. But they're kind of a welfare class, and they're supposed to be teaching the law to everybody, it seems like. It seems like they're meant to be a type of pastorate, kind of. Like they're they're spread around so that they teach the law to everybody. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, When you cross the Jordan, the land of Canaan, then you shall select for yourselves cities to be your cities of refuge, that the manslayer who has killed any person unintentionally may flee there. The cities shall be to you as a refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer will not die until he stands before the congregation for trial. The cities which you are to give shall be yours for 6 cities of refuge. You shall give 3 cities across the Jordan to be cities in the land of Canaan. They are to be cities of refuge. So he's like, these guys need some cities of refuge too. These 6 cities shall be for refuge to the sons of Israel and for the alien and the sojourner among them, that anyone who kills a person unintentionally may flee there. But if he be struck down with an iron object so that he died, he's a murderer. You should have known that would have killed him. You should have known that bashing a girl's head against the concrete 3 times after she's already knocked unconscious would likely kill her. Okay? I don't care if she called you mean names on Facebook. The murderer shall surely be put to death. If you struck them down with a stone in the hand by which he shall die, as a result he died, he is a murderer, the murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if you struck him with a wooden object in the hand, and that he might die, and as a result he died, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall surely be put to death. The blood avenger himself shall put the murderer to death. He shall put him to death when he meets him. If he pushed him of hatred... If he pushed him of hatred or threw something at him lying in wait, as a result he died. Or if he struck him down with his hand in enmity, and as a result he died, the one who struck him shall surely be put to death. He is a murderer. The blood avenger shall put a murder of death upon him. But if he pushed him suddenly without enmity, or threw something at him without lying in wait. In other words, you were talking crap about my wife. I found out you slept with my wife, and I had something in my hand. I just threw it at you. Or, we got in a shoving match over a fight or something, and you fell down the rock and you died. Now, it wasn't my intention to kill you. Or if any deadly object of stone, or seeing it without seeing it, dropped it on him, so he died. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. It was an accident. While he was not his enemy or seeking his injury, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the blood avenger according to these ordinances. The congregation shall deliver the manslayer from the hand of blood of the avenger, and the congregation shall restore to him his city of refuge to which he fled, and he shall live in it to the death of the high priest who anointed with holy oil. But if the manslayer at any time goes beyond the border of his city to a refuge which he may flee, and the blood avenger finds him outside the city, and the blood avenger kills the manslayer, he will not be guilty of blood. You better stay in your sanctuary city, because he shall remain in this... because he should have remained in the city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the manslayer shall return to the land of his possession. These things shall be a statutory ordinance for you throughout your generations and all your dwellings. If anyone kills a person, the murderer shall be put to death at the evidence of witnesses, but no person shall be put to death in the testimony of 1 witness. So 2 witnesses, minimum, 2 or 3. Moreover, you shall not take ransom for the life of a murderer who is guilty of death. He shall surely be put to death. You shall not take ransom for him who has fled from the city of refuge, that he may return to live in the land before the death of the priest. You shall not pollute the land in which you are, for blood, listen to this, for blood pollutes the land. When God says for, listen, okay? Blood pollutes the land, and no expiation can be made for the land for the blood that is shed in it, except the blood of him who shed it. I want you to hear this. If you have murderers in your land and they are being unpunished, it is going to pollute the land. The pollution of the land, if it gets so bad, it will spew you out. Okay? Remember, the blood of Abel cries out, right? The blood pollutes the land. He's saying the person who shed the blood needs to be put out now. Now, I want you guys to hear this, y'all. Those Canaanites were killing babies to sacrifice to Moloch. It was a common practice among them. That's why the land is polluted with blood, and it's crying out from the ground to tell God to avenge the blood. And that's why he's sending out the Jews to avenge the blood, okay? This avenger of blood thing, I want you guys to hear this. This avenger of blood thing has been around since Noah, okay? Because before God flooded the earth, the entire earth was commanded, if somebody sheds blood, by man his blood shall be shed. And you have a whole culture of people who are sacrificing their children to Molech, okay? So I want you to hear, God is not just committing genocide for no reason based on something that they just didn't know better. They knew killing people for any reason is wrong, and if people kill people, that they must be killed. And so now you have whole cultures who are killing people systematically. Okay? God knows if he lets this keep going, it's going to be like when he had to destroy it from a flood again. Okay? And so they have to be killed. The land itself is polluted, and it will not be expiated. In other words, it won't be silenced. It won't be appeased until the blood of those who shed blood is killed. And that's why God is sending the Israelites to do it. Okay? So don't think that God is just like, oh, he just favors these guys, so he's genociding those guys. No. These are according to laws that he established long in advance from Noah. The whole world knows them. Okay? Just because these guys chose to ignore the laws that somehow the Arabs still know today, and somehow guys in the jungles of Venezuela still know today, that is not an excuse. You forgetting what God told you is not an excuse. Oh, but my culture didn't teach me the thing that God told you. Well, go find another culture who didn't forget. Okay? You can find Muslims who know about the law from Noah about the Avenger of Blood. It is very well known throughout the world, okay? So you have to avenge bloodshed. You have to, or your land will get polluted. Everyone will suffer for it. You shall not defile the land in which you live, in the midst of which I dwell, for I am the Lord dwelling in the midst of the sons of Israel. Okay? And the heads of the fathers' households, the family of the sons of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, the families of the sons of Joseph came near and spoke before Moses, before the leaders and the heads of the fathers' households and the sons of Israel. And they said, the Lord commanded my Lord to give land by lot to the sons of Israel, and his inheritance to my Lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of Zelophehad, our brother, to his daughters. But if they marry one of the sons of other tribes of the sons of Israel, their inheritance will be withdrawn from the inheritance of our fathers and will be added to the inheritance of the tribe where they belong. Thus it will be withdrawn from our allotted inheritance. When the Jubilee of the sons of Israel comes, then their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe to which they belong. So the inheritance will be withdrawn from the tribe of our fathers. This is a problem. You see this problem between the law of the Jubilees and then that thing you made about these women having inheritance? Their men could end up getting it. So Moses commanded the sons of Israel according to the word of the Lord, saying, the tribe of the sons of Joseph are right in their statements. And this is what the Lord commanded concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry whom they wish, only they must marry within the family of the tribe of their father. In other words, these guys have to marry Manassites. Okay? Thus no inheritance of the sons of Israel shall be transferred from tribe to tribe, for the sons of Israel shall each hold the inheritance of the tribe of their fathers. Every daughter who comes into the possession of the inheritance of any tribe of the sons of Israel shall be wife to one of the family of the tribe of her father, so that the sons of Israel may possess the inheritance of their father. So in other words, daughters who get an inheritance under the special rules, because there's no sons to inherit it, must marry if they marry within the tribe of their fathers. Okay? Thus no inheritance shall be transferred from one tribe to another tribe, for the tribes of the sons of Israel shall each hold his own inheritance. So it's important that they each have their own inheritance, and that each tribe continues to be represented in the land. Okay? Just as the Lord commanded Moses, so that the daughters of Zelophehad did, Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah, the daughters of Zelophehad, married their uncle's sons. Their uncle's sons. It's a little bit inbred. They're marrying their first cousins. Apparently, that was not one of the things that was forbidden. Marrying your first cousin is not forbidden, I don't think. They married those from the families of the sons of Manasseh and the sons of Joseph. The son of Joseph, their inheritance remained with the tribe of the family of their father. These are the commandments and the ordinances which the Lord commanded the sons of Israel through Moses in the plains of Moab and the Jordan opposite Jericho. That's the end, okay? Now, I want you guys to hear this. All of this happened, most of the 8 chapters I just read to you happened basically in the last year of the 40 years, okay? Deuteronomy is basically one big farewell speech to all of Israel. And Moses is going to give them commands. He's going to make them swear oaths. He's going to give them a bunch of additional rules for when they're in the land. And then he's going to prophesy over them. Okay? There's not really anything else that goes on. They've done all their fighting that they're going to do before the land. It's just literally like rules. It's 34 chapters of this. Okay? I'm going to try to get through that in 3 chapters. But essentially, this is to a new generation that he is basically recapitulating the law that he was given at Mount Sinai, all the rules for the Levites. He's kind of given you some in terms of the feasts already, the rules for discerning and judging prophets, the rules for how to treat with the people in the land, and then he's going to close it all with at age 120. He's going to close it all with a song, which is a prophecy of them, and then he's going to give, after that prophecy, he is going to give basically individual prophecies over the different tribes, okay? And this is all going to be important stuff. So we're going to go probably another 3 sessions to do Deuteronomy, and then they're in the land, and then we're going to go straight into the book of Judges. And I'm going to try to do the book of Judges in chronological order, because a couple of the 2-3 of the stories are out of chronological order. They are mostly in chronological order, though. But the book of Judges, Joshua first, then Judges. Joshua and Judges are going to roll right in. I mean, you really are going to have an unbroken thing, and then if you put Judges in chronological order, you're going to have a really unbroken chronology until you get to Samuel, because Samuel is basically a little kid by the time Samson is doing his thing, okay? And then if you understand all that, then he goes right from Samuel to David, and you have an unbroken history from Samuel to Saul to David to all the tribes, all the way down to them going into captivity, okay? So when I get into this stuff, what I'm going to try to do, if it's Psalms, if it's Proverbs, whatever it is, we're going to try to go to that book within the context with which it was written, okay? So like Proverbs is going to be all written by Solomon. It's not going to necessarily be compiled until later on, but it's written by Solomon. Psalms are going to be mostly written by David and a couple of other guys and the sons of Korah, okay? And I don't know if we're going to go through all the Psalms. We'll see. We'll see, okay? Anyways, I hope you guys are blessed by this. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Batman out. Peace.
Peace, I'm out. I'm Batman.